I refuse to have a relationship with my mother-in-law. She makes things harder.
Should make things softer.
What does that even mean? Part 1, there's a lot to unpack. Hi Reddit, I'm a 21-year-old female and my husband, 29 male, we'll call him Bob, and I met in the army. We ended up eloping and having a baby together. Everything has been great between us, but his mom, we'll call her Karen,
Good name to start.
has had it out for me since day one. I've honestly tried to keep the peace, but I feel like things have gotten so weird and uncomfortable that I just don't want a relationship with her anymore. Let me explain. By the way, this comes from Notorious Chingona, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, right after Bob and I got married, Karen made a passive-aggressive post on Facebook because I didn't immediately change my last name. Stuff like, you're acting single if you don't take his name. What she didn't understand is that in the military, changing your name isn't a quick process. I figured I'd just wait until I got out, but clearly that wasn't good enough for her. The first time I ever met her in person was when I gave birth to our baby. She flew in the next day, came into the hospital room, and completely ignored me. Like I was literally laying in the hospital bed, and instead of even saying hello, she started asking my husband right in front of me how I was doing, how the labor went, etc. I was right there. She could have talked to me, but it was like she was pretending I didn't exist.
I can see that. Going in for the hug. You're like, oh, and then the hug to...
And rejected. She stayed with us for 2 weeks to help with the baby, but all she really did was rearrange my entire kitchen to her liking, only did laundry for herself and Bob. She would literally toss mine into a corner in the bedroom while I was still healing. Kept complaining about wanting to leave me home alone with a newborn so she and Bob could get a hotel downtown and go out drinking. Mind you, I was still struggling to walk and get to the bathroom on my own. Why is she there if she's not helping? She's very much not helping.
She's not even there to see the baby. She's there to see her baby.
Yeah. Thankfully, Bob shut the idea down immediately, but she was definitely salty about it. About a week after giving birth, Bob and I went on a short date and convinced Karen to babysit. When we got home, Bob went to the gym, and I asked Karen for the baby so I could put her to bed. As she handed me my daughter, she goes, "Come on, baby, go to your mom, even though Nana doesn't like her."
Well, at least she's being honest to your baby.
Why did she say that? I awkwardly laughed because I didn't know what to say. I wouldn't know what to say to that either. Later, I told Bob, and he said she told him it was just a joke and I shouldn't make a big deal about it. How is that a joke?
Oh, do you think it was a test?
A test for what?
Oh, she's going to tell Bob. And then Bob told her and like, oh, God, of course. I knew she was going to do that.
But like, that's not funny? Then a few days later, my family invited everyone out to our favorite beach bar grill spot. Everyone came. My parents, brothers, their girlfriends, family friends, and yes, even Karen. They had live music and we were all seated near the stage. Karen sat with her back facing the band. One of my brothers, he's 23, was sitting across from her facing the music so he could watch the performance. He starts singing along with the band, looking in the direction, and Karen pulls me and Bob aside to tell us that my brother was making her uncomfortable because he was singing to her.
What? Huh?
Okay. She thought he was looking at her and serenading her in front of his girlfriend, who was sitting right next to him. Karen is almost 60. My brother was just vibing to the music. There's more, but I'll save it for another post. This whole experience has been weird and exhausting. I'm at the point where I just don't want to have a relationship with her anymore. But I know my husband is close with her, so it's tough. And there is an update. But do you have any thoughts?
Before you just cut her off or do anything like that, is definitely talk to her, or at least talk to Bob to talk to her. Bob has definitely at least not put up with her. Great.
But he's not really paying attention. He's like, oh, it's just a joke. Like, he needs to clue in.
I think if your partner is uncomfortable from a family member or, you know, something like that, you gotta stand up for your partner.
Exactly. Like, Bob, you need to wake up.
Especially, you know, the parent and the mother of your newborn.
Absolutely.
Give her all the help she can get.
Update. So ever since Bob and I got together, his mom, Karen, has constantly trauma dumped on him about her harmful boyfriend. I'm not saying she wasn't in a bad situation, but she would call Bob nonstop crying, telling him how horrible her boyfriend was and how she had nowhere safe to go. At the time, we were both active duty in the military and couldn't just drop everything to help. Bob ended up giving her a house that his grandfather left to him just so she would have somewhere safe to live. He only asked her one thing: don't sell it so it could stay in the family.
I wonder what she's gonna.
You should have told her that she could live in there, but like, you shouldn't have given her any deed or whatever.
Exactly. No deed, no nothing. Just like, you can stay there. It's allowed.
I know it probably wasn't the best move, but Karen really manipulated the situation, and I told him to do whatever he felt he needed to do. to help her. Of course, what does she do? She sells the house immediately. How? Did you give her everything?
How do you do it that fast?
That's shocking. And what did she use the money for? Not to get safe, not to start fresh. Nope. She spent it on her boyfriend, the same harmful guy she supposedly needed to escape. They used the money to buy booze, fix his truck, and basically blow it all. Bob didn't see a dime from the house that was originally his inheritance. Why did you give her the deed?
I think it was just like, it maybe just happened so quickly.
But that doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know why. And I think especially when you said that at the very beginning, Bob, where you're like, don't sell the house, you kind of just gave her all your cards.
Like, you could have made it kind of like a landlord situation where maybe you're not charging her anything, but she doesn't have the power to sell it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a little too late now.
A few months later, Bob and I were out of the military back in Texas, and our baby was a few months old. Karen was still living in another state, but would call constantly to cry about how bad her boyfriend still was. They were both always wasted, constantly fighting, and honestly being toxic to each other. She'd even admit to putting hands on him too. Bob was exhausted hearing about it. We had a trip planned with my family to go to a concert at a casino in Oklahoma. We already had a family friend lined up to babysit so we could have a little break and enjoy some time out. But days before the trip, Karen had another emergency and begged Bob to come get her. So what does he do? He cancels the trip, drives from South Texas to Kansas, gets a U-Haul, and moves all of her crap out of the apartment she shared with her boyfriend. The boyfriend didn't even own anything. It was all her stuff. Bob drove her and her stuff to Colorado to live with her family. Meanwhile, I still went to the concert with my family, brought our baby with me, and had the family friend tag along just to help for a couple hours. I stayed with the baby the entire rest of the trip. Not even a full month after that, Karen found a nice rental house for herself near her mom. We thought maybe finally she was going to start over, but of course, she moved her harmful boyfriend right back in after everything Bob did to help her leave. He didn't talk to her for weeks after that. So what does Karen do in response? Starts posting hateful comments on my Facebook posts. Because obviously this is all my fault. In her eyes, I must have been the one who turned her son against her. Even though Bob was just sick of the manipulation, she blamed me for everything. Again, there is an update, but you need to block this woman on Facebook.
Yeah, at this point, there's no point of keeping someone this manipulative and toxic in your life, especially the way she likes to be the center of attention and make everything about herself and just make you just feel bad about yourself. No reason for that.
Yeah, no, this is like you gotta go some sort of no contact or low contact with this person. Honestly, probably no contact. She literally kind of stole your partner's house.
That was going to be his inheritance and then ultimately probably your inheritance and your child's inheritance. Maybe a little bit there. So not great.
But there is an update. A few more months go by and things kind of settle. Bob starts talking to Karen again, even though she's still with the same harmful boyfriend, and I'm still getting passive aggressive or straight up rude comments from her. The fact that you're 21 and your boyfriend is 29 and still like acting kind of like a child is ridiculous. The fact that he's letting her get away with being rude to you and letting her stay in his life while you guys have a kid is just ridiculous to me. Like, I feel like Bob needs to step up a lot more here. Every time she calls my husband to complain about her boyfriend, how terrible he is, how he drinks and hits her, Bob either hangs up or tells her the truth. He's already tried to help her twice. He gave her a house to escape. He moved her halfway across the country to get her out of the relationship. He even told her, I have my own family to take care of now. If you really wanted a fresh start, you would have taken it when I gave it to you. I understand that he's trying to help. It seems like she is in a bad situation, but like, I think you just have to have a conversation with Bob and say, there are only so many times that you can give someone a second chance and try and help them out if they don't help themselves.
At this point, what is she bringing to the table? What is she bringing you, your family, Bob, everyone in your family to the table? It seems like nothing but stress.
And every time he says that, she flips the switch and starts bashing me instead. It always ends up with yelling and cussing matches. This became the pattern for a while. Now, fast forward to June 2024. Karen ends up in the hospital, put there by her boyfriend. I mean, she clearly is in a terrible, terrible situation, but like, I don't know what Bob is supposed to do here beyond what he's already done. She had a concussion, he got arrested, and Bob was furious. He starts seriously looking for a place for her near us in South Texas so he can help keep her safe and be around if her boyfriend tries to come back. He was worried, she was drinking constantly, on anxiety meds, and just not in great shape physically or mentally. But when Bob started looking for houses for her, she turned into the pickiest person ever. Nothing was good enough. You'd think if you were trying to escape a harmful relationship and be closer to your grandchild, who you constantly complain about not getting to see, you'd be grateful for any decent place, especially when someone else is helping you. But nope. Karen turned down house after house. Some were way nicer than where she was coming from, and then came to the comment that really stunned me. She didn't want to live in certain areas because there were too many Mexican neighbors, which South Texas is a heavily Latino area. It was just disgusting to hear that kind of blatant racism from someone my husband was still trying to help. Her harmful boyfriend can knock her around and she'll keep going back to him, but her son, who's bent over backwards for her multiple times, gets nothing but complaints and insults. It blew my mind. I mean, sometimes when people are in these situations, they're just like, it feels like kind of impossible for outside people to help them.
At this point, it's like, what's the point of helping her too? It's like, this house is too small. This house is too big. She's basically Goldilocks. And like, what do you want?
She's Goldilocks, but like there's wolves outside and she needs to stop being picky. Finally, in October, Bob found a place that was good enough. It was a rental, a temporary solution so she could get out of Colorado and away from her ex while looking for something more permanent. Here's where I screwed up. I offered to let her stay at our house. No, until our moving truck made it in from Colorado. Bad idea. It got delayed because of a snowstorm, and I figured it'd be a few days tops. Just a gesture to help while she got settled. I could have told you that. Stop giving her houses.
She's already sold one.
There's a third update. No, it's just like, you can't help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. You have tried so many times. Letting her continuously come back into your life is only hurting you guys at this point.
She's just taking advantage of especially your husband, taking control of Bob and manipulating Bob, which I know he's trying to be the best son he could be by, my mom's going through a serious mess, and I get it, but she's not being compliant with any of the help that, he's trying to get her.
But there is a third update. Karen finally moves into our house temporarily while she waits for her stuff to arrive. I'm in school full-time, enrolled in a very demanding medical program, and I made it clear to everyone that I don't have a lot of bandwidth. My days start at 5 a.m. I have an hour-long commute. I stay after class to study at the library, and I don't get home until 7 p.m. most days. My husband, who does his school online, takes our toddler to daycare and picks her up around 3 p.m. When I get home, I immediately shift into mom mode and try to be as present and helpful as possible. Given that, all I asked from Karen was basic human decency.
You think that you're going to get that? You asked Karen to do something?
Like, hey, can you clean up after yourself in the guest room you're staying in? If you cook something, can you just wash the dishes you use? That's it. Nothing outrageous. But apparently that was too much because she told people I was treating her like a slave. I was floored. I'm barely hanging on with my schedule, trying to juggle school, motherhood, and being a functioning human being, and somehow I'm the problem because I asked her not to leave dirty dishes in the sink. This is a person who has proven time and time again who she is.
Stop giving her the benefit of the doubt.
Then came the breaking point. It was Monday, and as usual, I went over to my older neighbor's house for dinner. She's sweet, cooks often, and it's usually just her daughter and her daughter's girlfriend. It's one of the few quiet breaks I allow myself. That particular day, I'd studied all afternoon at the library, took my daughter to the park to get some time with her, and then made a salad to bring to dinner. Before I left, I asked Karen very kindly if she could just stay inside the house. That's it. My daughter had already been fed and was sound asleep upstairs. I was literally going next door. Same building, shared wall. It's not like I was leaving for the club. 30 minutes into the dinner, Karen calls me screaming on the phone, full cussing meltdown, telling me I'm a lazy mom, that I should be studying or taking care of my daughter, and that my priorities are completely screwed up. Keep in mind again, my daughter was already asleep, the kitchen was clean, and my schoolwork was done. And I was literally just next door trying to decompress for a second. So I hung up. I called my husband, who was at the gym, and said, "You need to come home and get your mother out of this house before I go in there and blow it all up." Finally.
I hate when it always comes to like the most extreme points.
We should have just kept her out of this house in the first place. Should have never given her access to the inheritance house.
This should have been never happened in the first place. Like after that should have been like the final straw or the straw that broke the camel's back.
He didn't hesitate. He came home, walked in, and calmly told Karen she needed to leave. Good on Bob. Finally putting up boundaries. That it wasn't his problem if her moving truck hadn't arrived yet, and that she'd be staying in an empty rental until it did. Her response, she said, "I was just some 20-year-old mom who doesn't know how to be a mom or a wife." My husband didn't say a word. He picked up her suitcase, walked it out to her car, and set it down.
Let's go.
Nice, Bob. Nice. She stormed out, peeled off down the street, and that was the last time she set foot in our house. And there is an update, but good on Bob.
Great on Bob.
It took him a while to get over this relationship with his mom, but it seems like he's finally coming to realize that he needs to set these boundaries.
You know, you try to be the best son you could be, and I get it.
And seeing a mom in a really horrible situation, absolutely understand that, yeah.
But it's like it gets to a point where it's just like your wife comes to be priority now. And I think, great, Bob.
Especially after having tried to help so long. But there is another update. There is one last piece of this whole saga that still hurts to even talk about. My husband's sister passed away in a tragic and horrific way. I'm not going into detail. There was a lawsuit involved and an NDA, so legally and emotionally, it's just not something we discuss. Just know it was heartbreaking and traumatic for everyone, and it changed my husband forever, which honestly does make a lot of sense of why he would probably want, do the most to try and help his mom. Because, he's already lost someone. That does make sense. So I understand why it took him so long to get to this point. Karen, being next of kin, received a settlement from the case. She promised my husband she'd split the money with him 50-50. His sister didn't have anyone else, no spouse, no kids, just Bob and Karen. Bob tried multiple times to get her to put something in writing, legal documentation to make sure the money would actually be divided. But if there's one thing about my husband, it's that he's loyal and he trusted her. And he's also not the type to fight over money. He believed his mom would do the right thing. When the first settlement payment came through, it went directly to Karen's account. To her credit, at first, she did send him his half like she promised. With that money, we were finally in a position to buy a house. It should have been a moment of relief and healing for us, but the whole thing was clouded by grief, stress, and more manipulation from Karen. Bob really struggled with the idea of receiving money in the first place. He kept saying, no amount of money makes this okay. I just want my sister back. And I get that. I told him she can't be here to be an aunt to our daughter. But maybe this is her taking care of you and your little family now. Maybe this is her way of helping from wherever she is. Things got complicated with the VA loan process when they saw this large sudden deposit in Bob's account. We had to explain it was from a legal settlement without breaking the NDA and provide proof that it wasn't income or something shady. But because Bob wasn't on any official paperwork saying the money was meant to be his, we needed Karen to write and sign a simple letter confirming that it was a gift. And what did she say? Have fun getting the house without this letter. Did this all happen before all of the events that you've already described? Because it's crazy that you would continue to be around her if this happened before.
Genuinely shocked.
She refused to help. After everything, after the promise, after the money was already in his account, she tried to sabotage the one stable thing we were building for our family. We had to jump through so many hoops, it delayed everything, but eventually, through a ton of stress and paperwork, we finally closed on our home. The day Karen found out we got the house, she sent me a Facebook message. Congratulations on the house that was bought with my daughter's money.
Of course she said that. I would show Bob immediately.
I saw red. I snapped and told her, at least we're using it wisely and not on booze. And I'll leave it at that. I won't go into detail about the rest, but I absolutely let her have it. Every pent-up frustration, every backhanded comment, every manipulative thing she's ever done, I laid it out. And the best part, my husband backed me 100%. He went off on her too. He told her in no uncertain terms that she will never disrespect me again and that she's no longer a part of our lives. She's cut off completely. Good. It seems like this must have happened post all of the house stuff.
I would believe so, and it was very limited communication, but again, when family passes away, you got to have communication, and everyone's grieving, so it seemed like everything was all right, this is very nonchalant, this is it, this is okay. Of course, Karen was going to be Karen.
After losing a child, to treat your other child like that.
And then to use it as a kind of like a weapon. You used my daughter's money who passed away. You used her money to buy your house. You're welcome.
Really, really despicable.
That's gross.
To be clear, Bob has stood up for me many times before. Every time she crossed a line, he put her in her place. But this time was different. This time he was done. No more second chances. No more that's just how she is. He's over it, and so am I. Karen's now threatening not to send him the rest of the money she owes him. And honestly, we're okay with that. We're not fighting anymore. It's not worth it. I've tried so hard to be patient and understanding. I've made excuses for her, Knowing she's been through trauma, knowing Bob has too, I've handled it the best I could, but I can't keep feeling sorry for someone who causes so much pain. I'm done. So is my husband. And that is the end of that story. I mean, you can't continue feeling bad for someone who just keeps biting the hand that's feeding them.
They didn't want to get fed. Disgusting behavior.
I mean, I think right now you and Bob have to focus on your new family that you have, which is you, Bob, and your child, and kind of move past this woman who just keeps taking advantage of you and your kindness. But that is the end of that story.
My mother-in-law sued us for visitation. Now she's no longer in our lives.
Objection. Leading the witness.
Leading the witness away from us. Thank you. I, 30 female, started dating my husband, 30 male, Steve, since we were in the 8th grade. So we have so much history together. Steve's parents divorced when he was around 9 years old, and it was messy. Both of his parents were the type that used their children as leverage to hurt each other. So you can imagine how that went for him and his siblings. I do want to make an important note that today, Steve's dad is a pretty chill guy and nice to be around, but it did take him several years to get to that point. By the way, this comes from user RoseCats14. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit on Reddit and submit them there. Back then, Steve's mom cheated on his dad, causing them to separate. During this time, she would leave a younger Steve and his siblings alone at night. Imagine kids between 1 and 7 years old. And my father-in-law, looking for her for reconciliation, found all of his children abandoned, and she would be back by 6 a.m. as if nothing happened. So she's the type of woman that prioritizes her own comfort over her children. I don't know.
Oh, good.
That doesn't seem like a harsh enough judgment of that kind of behavior. Anyways, during this time, mother-in-law lost the house during the divorce, and father-in-law got to keep it. He remarried and now has 2 younger children. Steve never lived with his dad because back then he had some anger issues and just tried to avoid him. Steve and his siblings were taken in by his paternal grandparents. However, mother-in-law was still receiving child support, even if they didn't live with her. Father-in-law took her to court to stop these payments, but she convinced the young children to lie to the judge and say that they indeed lived with her. This caused a retaliation from the grandparents that ended up having them removed from the house. Steve was around 14. When we started high school, Steve and his siblings went to live with his maternal grandfather. He did not have much over his roof, gave them the basics such as paying utilities and a house. Meanwhile, Steve and his 2 brothers were living with a weekly child support of $25. Yes, for the 3 of them. His dad back then was basically on minimum wage. To give a bit more perspective, we live in Mexico, and this was $500 in pesos, still not nearly enough to feed 3 people, let alone 3 teenagers. Steve and his siblings started working at a very young age so they could pay for their own food. They're very hardworking and honest men. Was my mother-in-law doing at this time, you may ask? She was supposedly living with them, but in reality, she had a much younger boyfriend, and she would party and disappear completely from 3 to 6 days a week, going out to dinners or to the beach and just living her best life while her kids could only afford to eat oatmeal for months on end.
Wow. Wow. You cheated on your husband, you left your kids, and you're partying it up. Kids are struggling.
Well, she's just teaching her kids the value of hard work. No, she's winning the Worst Mom of the Year award. Regional, Mexico. Okay, here we go. For almost a year, she took the entirety of the child support and just spent it on herself and her boyfriend. It wasn't a lot, but still, the little secure money they had, she would take. She refused to work and provide for her kids as working doesn't go along with her vibe. And several times during this time, she would even ask her kids for money to go out. Her children asked her repeatedly to stay with them as they felt the need for some type of stability and they just wanted their mom to be there and provide. But her excuse was always, I already raised you and I deserve to be happy, not confined in this house, and proceeded to immediately leave them again for days on end. Where's dad here? How did dad...
Working. Dad's making minimum wage.
And probably has anger issues.
Yeah.
Even her own father would call her out on this behavior, but she just got mad and left. Back then, I really didn't have that bad of a relationship with my mother-in-law, but I must admit that my point of view on many things was very immature, and now that I'm older, I can clearly see that her behavior was just pure neglect and selfishness. The problems really started when we got engaged. As soon as I graduated college and started to have an income, Steve proposed. and I moved in with him. This was late 2018, and we were both age 23. I was extremely stubborn in having my dream wedding at where I live. It was customary for the parents of the bride. I was extremely stubborn in having my dream wedding. And where I live, it was customary for the parents of the bride to pay for the wedding. But in the end, my parents bailed on me, which is a whole different story for another time, and we were kindly supported by other family members. In other words, we had a tight budget for the wedding, and we DIY'd many things and looked for cheaper vendors. For this, my mother-in-law offered to help us with the wedding invitations, the design, and the printing. I paid for all of this. The real problem started when this woman took the opportunity to start inviting other people without our knowledge. When Steve and I found out, we lost it. Our budget was already very limited and could not afford to have more people than the ones we deemed most important, so he called his mother and started berating her, saying she didn't have the right to do that and he couldn't give two F's about the people she was inviting. This woman started messaging me and calling me, accusing me of pitting her son against her. She called me manipulative and that it was my parents' obligation to pay for the wedding because our actions were making her baby upset. Yes, she literally called him her baby.
That's not your baby. You abandoned your baby, I don't know, his entire life?
Yeah, it's like, this is really, where is that kind of talk coming from where you literally neglected them their entire upbringing? The cognitive dissonance there is astounding.
Who are you to say that? I'm his mother.
Yes.
No, you're not. You're someone who gave birth to him and then you abandoned them.
Yeah, and then you took the tiny amount of money that they had that was secure, and you would take it to go party. That is trash can behavior.
I was young, reckless.
She said he would never yell at her if it wasn't for me. This was literally 2 weeks before the wedding, and I was seriously considering calling it all off because at that time, Steve didn't defend me and saw his mother's behavior as normal and somewhat justified. That's a big red flag just shot up into the air. This woman always created a fight with anyone at any time if she didn't get her way. So her children saw this behavior as normal. I sucked it up because I really loved him, but if I could go back in time, I would have just eloped. We got married and all was okay for some time, but each time this woman didn't get what she wanted, she would start telling anyone who would listen that I was psychotic, manipulative, narcissistic, possessive, and much more. If my hubby just didn't want to do something, she would automatically blame me for his decisions. He would repeatedly ask her to stop calling me names, and after she cooled down, after several days, she would apologize to him and promise it wouldn't happen again, which in fact was always a lie. I would really like to say that I'm exaggerating and that I'm also the problem, that in some instances I could have handled this situation better, but with the simplest of decisions, such as not participating in a white elephant ceremony due to money constraints, she would start with these intense accusations. She had always felt entitled to other people's money. Always. Go figure. One of Steve's brothers got married and the same thing that happened to us happened to them. Gladly, this crap show of a drama made my now brother-in-law's wife and I closer, as we felt we needed some type of support system in dealing with the same mother-in-law. I would even call Emma my best friend at this point.
We love a family bond.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, your mother-in-law is terrible, but at least you got a best friend out of it.
Yeah, both of you are agreeing. Isn't she like the worst? Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, did we just become best friends? Yeah. There are so many instances where my mother-in-law would lose her cool and let her true colors shine, calling us both manipulative and narcissistic. But she got really intense with Emma attacking all of her family members, saying again that it was her parents' obligation to pay for anyone she wanted to invite to her son's wedding. She started to insult Emma's siblings and parents, calling them ugly and lazy. They're the sweetest people I know. All of them are very hardworking, and I would also say attractive. That's how crazy this woman is. She would constantly compare other people with her adult children, always saying that they're the most handsome and all that stuff, because she also places the importance of people solely on their appearance. No way. A party girl who neglected her own children for years and years is vain? No.
Impossible.
I forgot to mention that this devil woman got married with the younger dude she was dating. and cheated on her ex-husband, but he is a heavy drinker and just a terrible person altogether. So yes, she's married and has a 6-year-old girl. If you thought that was bad, let me tell you if you thought that was bad though, let me tell you that crap really hit the fan when I got pregnant back in 2023. When we told her about my pregnancy, she wasn't really happy and was clearly faking a smile. When we told the rest of the family, she started to rub my belly. I was just like 3 months in and wasn't showing, so that was really weird. And she was saying that I was carrying her baby and that she was so excited to have another baby. Pause. Not your baby, dude. Why would you even be excited to have another baby? You neglected all of them. More child support.
Literally, like, I love them so much. And you know what? Time's the charm. Maybe that's when I'll be an actual mother.
That's when I had enough and directly set a boundary with her, not via Steve. And I told her to not get things twisted. This was my baby and not hers. She got nervous and started laughing, but later she started texting my husband that I needed psychiatric help and that I'm extremely possessive. After this incident, I just wanted to have a peaceful pregnancy, and Steve and I started avoiding her completely. I had an emergency C-section, and we didn't want any visits in the hospital, but in the last minute, Steve told me that if we didn't tell his mom, she would lose it and go nuclear on us. So we called her to meet the baby, and oh boy. Steve!
Why?
Steve!
Why would you do that? You know that is just bad juju.
Your wife just had an emergency C-section.
The last thing she wants is probably one of the most stressful benefactors in your life.
Phenomenal use of benefactor. The hospital prepared a special meal for me, and she got mad that I didn't give her some of my food. Yeah, my hospital food. Hours after my C-section.
Yeah, you eat that? You look a little tired. I think I'll take it from you.
Stop. Steve needs to wake up and smell the sunshine that his mom is a force of pure negativity. When the pediatrician came in and explained general care for the newborn, she started interrupting her and telling the story of God knows whose child got sick from that type of care. When my gynecologist came in and explained my aftercare, she never left the room and even stayed when my gyno started giving me general recommendations for the spa sleep and was just nodding along. Okay. In several occasions, she wanted to hold my baby, but I didn't let her as I was so upset by her presence and asked her 3 different times if she was already leaving or planning to leave soon. She stayed for another hour because she wouldn't leave, as I had no right to ask her that because her precious son invited her. Where, Steve, what are we doing?
I am Steve.
Sending you back into Minecraft, Steve. The moment we had this gorgeous, healthy baby boy, Steve started to see how really toxic his mom had always been, and he made a promise to himself to not let his son down as his parents did to him and give him the best loving life possible. To be honest, some people might say that he was a red flag before this for enabling the behavior in the first place, but we have to consider that this is what he grew up with, and breaking those patterns is for anyone, especially when it's your parents, the people who are supposed to protect you. He's a really hardworking guy, got his degree, and thanks to him, we got to buy our house at 26. So he's a pretty great guy, and I couldn't be prouder of the man he's become. Now back to the story. We didn't want anyone to visit us as we were really scared of our newborn catching something, mostly because his family members tend to be very irresponsible. Think of, as an example, during the vid, they were sick and told no one, so they could still go out at family functions. They're that type of people. So we didn't really trust them near our baby. Mother-in-law never liked this and called us paranoid and that they deserved to visit the baby whenever they wanted. She even called our rules stupid. This woman is an actual leech, as she has always said that she doesn't like to work and that her children have the obligation to take care of her. In her mind, she excuses this as the only reason people have children.
It's all coming together.
Oh
yeah.
Brother.
It's all coming together now.
It's all coming. Anytime she asked for money, she would use the emotional blackmail of, I deserve this because I'm your mother and I raised you. No, you didn't. You wouldn't have had all those things if it wasn't for me. Actually, I would have had more.
There was nothing.
I would have had more things because you were taking the child support.
What things? The only thing that was there.
Oatmeal. Think of all the oatmeal you would have missed out on if it wasn't for me taking your money from you.
The only thing that was there wasn't you.
So what are these things, you may be asking? That's the same thing we were wondering, because this woman always comes up with the most insane lies to make herself be the victim and the main character. Whenever she did something for them, it was because she asked like 5 different people for money. But as an example, she would usually fall behind in college payments, and for a couple times, Steve was at risk of losing an entire semester. Since Steve got a well-paying job, she would ask him for money. But since the birth of our baby, we were running a bit short, and he would say no. She never liked this, but would start with her emotional blackmail and so on. This one specific time, she started berating him and accusing him of being possessed by the devil, referring to me, of course, and that he was living with a narcissist when he told her that she was the narcissist, if anyone, and she was trying to gaslight him. She told him that's impossible because narcissists are only like that with their significant other and people they live with, because apparently now she's an expert. This woman is outrageous. An outrageous woman. She also said that back in high school and college, he never struggled with money and that he worked for pleasure, completely demeaning all of the hard he put in to have a better life. Their argument really started to escalate to the point where she said she was disgusted by me because I'm a spicy worker. So my personal list of offenses has a new entry. Hooray! For that extra context, back in 2021, I did have an OF for just 2 months to help pay some bills because I was unemployed. My hubby always knew about this and encouraged me because he insisted I could get some good money out of it, but I got a steady job instead and just left that in the past. I never really posted intense things, just like little spicy cosplays. The problem is that she believes that platform is explicitly for soliciting spicy employees, and even with a quick Google search, still prefers to believe that it's used for that. He blocked her after insulting me like that, but that didn't stop her. She started stalking us and came to our house banging on the door to be let in. And my hubby was so mad at her that he never did let her in. I was breastfeeding a 2-month-old at the time. And instead they started to argue outside for 3 hours straight. Mother-in-law started to tell him that he could not escape her and that she would always find her children, that all of them are like parts of her body, and insisted that I was a nasty, spicy worker. After 3 hours, she faked several apologies, talked about how other people did insane stuff for their mothers and her children did nothing, how she was embarrassed of them because even with good, steady jobs, they never gave her any money, and so on. She's just an actual leech.
Yeah, she just wants money.
She just wants from you, to the point where she's literally openly said people only have kids so that the kids take care of them. That's a crazy perspective.
I only want 1,000 kids so I can create an army to take care of me.
1,000 kids for one army of mine. Okay. At the end, just so she would leave, it was late and getting cold, Steve just walked her to her car, nodded a couple times, and he never unblocked her. Until she tried reaching out on Christmas, and there was another fight because she was fully expecting to see the baby even after all of those insults. She started calling Steve a narcissist as well and said that I was controlling him, that all of his actions and words aren't his, and that I was influencing him to leave his family behind. She started to say that she deserves to have a relationship with our baby. He could not take that away from her. We just cut contact completely because she was so exhausting, and with a baby, we barely had any energy for ourselves, let alone having a relationship with someone that enjoys creating conflict as much as she does. We never saw her again until she came to our house again on my baby's first birthday. Man, she's persistent. My husband and I were home preparing some stuff for his birthday while he was at daycare having his own party there, when this crazy woman started banging on our door and stayed for 30 minutes waiting to be let in. In this time, she started to spew some nonsense where she went from crying to yelling to laughing in the span of a minute. We never opened the door and had to call the police to remove her from our property. We live in a private suburb where you need to request access via security personnel. In the 2 occasions that she got to our house, she bypassed security. So we have the authorization to call the police and remove her from the premises. When she saw the police, she started yelling that I cheated on my husband with her husband? WT, and that it's her son's house and that she has the right to be there. And when my husband went out to the officers and explained the situation, she started calling him disgusting because he had new tattoos. Remember, she hadn't seen him in almost a year. And some other crazy stuff. Thankfully, the police did escort her away, but this incident only ended up fueling her intense anger. She sued us.
With what money does she?
I don't know. I guess her new husband. I guess her new hot young husband that she cheated on her ex with. Maybe he's Mr. Moneybag. So yeah, you read that right. She sued us for visitation rights over our son. And we've heard from other family members that she isn't really interested in him. She's doing all of this just so she can see her own son. She has shown some weird obsession over her children that I cannot quite describe. She makes them responsible for the craziest things, and when she doesn't have control over a situation or someone, that's when she loses it. Some may argue that it's important for a child to have their grandparent there, and I agree. The whole family dynamic is important. However, when the relationship is so troublesome and the adult is so controlling, manipulative, does not respect simple boundaries, and is so neglectful, I wholeheartedly believe that they shouldn't be involved in the child's life. Children also deserve respect and a loving family circle. My mother-in-law does have a child, and I don't really want to go into that much detail because I do believe this child's privacy is important. But I will say, awfully neglectful of her, and several times in the past would brag that she wouldn't shower her for weeks because children don't like baths and it's too tiresome. This woman needs to be in jail.
I can't, no.
That's like criminal neglect of a child.
It's too tired to bathe a child. When you said, they're supposed to take care of me, so they're going to be too tired to give, come on.
Dude, I hope they just have barely enough energy to throw you into the ocean, back to the pits that spawned you. If this woman won't take care of her own child, how can I entrust her with mine when she apparently despises me so much? We don't even know how the F she got the money to start a legal process, but she's the type of person that has so much energy to create and maintain conflict. We wanted to cut off contact, but she just won't let us. So there's that. When I have more updates, I'll make sure to let you all know because, oh my goodness, this woman will just not give up. Whenever you feel you have a mother-in-law spawned from hell, please remember me and this post. This one might be a hard one to beat. And we have an update. It's a good one.
I hope so. I saw what comes first, so.
We got a restraining order.
Woohoo!
Yeah. I mean, there was no way she was going to win.
She'd be like, that paper won't stop.
Yeah, but the police that will come when you ignore the paper will stop you. We have submitted all of the evidence in our response against our mother-in-law. That includes witnesses, video evidence of her yelling, and when she came to our house, even when the police had to escort her away. Having security cameras was really for the best. Steve's brothers, dad, and aunt are some of our witnesses that can testify that this woman is indeed a train wreck. For the whole duration of this legal process, the restraining order will be valid and permanent. We got a great lawyer until a judge decides otherwise. By the way, you can be the judge of the full episodes with stories like this that you can find on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts. Wherever you have podcasts to listen to, just search OK Storytime, and you'll find 1,248 worth of stories. And counting.
Always counting.
By the time this comes out, probably like at least 20 more hours than that.
More.
Just an endless stream of juicy goodness.
More.
So we do have some more story. Let's finish it off. We're right at the end here. We had also requested a psychological evaluation on her and her daughter. We do think the kid needs to be checked before there's some permanent emotional damage. But the judge denied the evaluation on the kid and requested my husband and I also get an evaluation. Also, social services will come to both my mother-in-law's house and our house to determine if the environment is appropriate for minors. If the witnesses and environment showcase everything isn't best for her child, then another investigation will be opened and CPS will get involved. This will not go as she intended. She wanted to forcefully make us see her, but so far she's forcefully not allowed to be close to us. And that is the end of that story. And I really hope the best. I wish the best for that child. For all the children involved, I wish the best.
The restraining order needs to be pinned up on a wall.
Put it on the front door.
No, don't put it on the
Put a copy of it on the front door.
Lights around it.
Make a shrine to it.
Literally, like you just wake up, you walk out, and you see it like in the hall or like in the living room, and you're like,
it's nice. And then you hear bang, 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 bang on the front door, and you're like, no!
You're like, let me take it down.
And then you just grab the phone that's right next to it. That's like a hotline to the police station.
Pretty much. There was no bone in this. Crazy.
Didn't sound like it, no.
Not a single remorseful.
She just was like, kids are tools I use to financially enrich myself.
Yeah.
That's
I use
crazy.
Kids for gain, not in any loving manner. I'm going to go party now.
Yeah, so weird. So weird. Oh, Lord. If you have a relative like this woman or you find similarities to this woman, I wish you both all the help in the world.
That's the end of that story.
My adopted brother felt ostracized by our parents now that he grew up.
You got a time limit on your parents' love.
Ostrich.
My parents have 5 kids, 27 female, 26 male, then me and my twin and our adopted brother are all 23. And we are 23 female, me, then 2 23 males. John was adopted when his bio parents, who were close friends with our parents, passed away when he was a few months old. By the way, this comes from Tiara FU. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, this has been a slowly building thing for years now, but really got called to everyone's attention in the past 5 years. I remember growing up with John normally as any siblings would, and all of our other siblings say the same. We played, we fought, we made up, we broke our parents' crap. The past 5 years have been somewhat strange, though. At first, we thought it was just John being John. But now, after I've spoken with him, we discovered it was more than we thought. First off, John left the day he turned 18, wow. Which was a surprise because he had good grades and everyone assumed he'd go to college like the rest of us. He graduated 1 semester early and left the house on his 18th birthday, which was a shock to everyone. He earned money doing chore work for our dad and uncles and had bought his own car and apparently saved enough to get an apartment. It was weird and my parents were sad, but more than that, they were proud and happy for him. Dad offered John money to help him start out life on his own, but John refused and said, "You'd be fine." My parents were insanely proud of John. They're not typically the brag about my kid kind of people, but they were telling everyone how independent and responsible and mature and fearless John was. Now, it's important to note that us siblings were always fairly close. I cried the first night John was gone and wanted my dad to figure out a way to make him come back because I was scared he passed away or something. So when the communication suddenly was almost nothing, it was weird and we missed him, but our parents said that he was busy working and taking care of himself and that when he settled and figured things out, he'd be back to his normal self. It never happened though. And he also stopped really talking to them. He talked to us around birthdays and holidays, but even then it was strange. He always tried to meet up with siblings for dinners or drinks on birthdays, always visits our parents very quickly on their birthday and Mother's and Father's Day. And on Thanksgiving and Christmas, he's in and out. For example, our older brother was the only one there when John was there for our mom's most recent birthday. And he said John was very clinical in that it felt more like a soldier was paying respect to a commanding officer than anyone visiting their parents. One thing about this that stood out was that John talked to our mom and dad and brother about a lot going on in his life. Apparently, he's got a girlfriend and just got a dog and has a great new job in construction. No one knew any of this. And dad cracked a joke about how they were terrible parents because how could they not know anything about what was going on in one of their kids' lives? After John left, our mom looked sad, and when our older brother asked her what was wrong, she said that it felt like John didn't want to be around her and that she missed him before she refused to say anything more about it. So our older brother started a group chat with everyone but John to ask about if anyone had noticed anything wrong with him. We'd all talked about how distant he'd been over the years, but never like this. At the end of it, we all arranged to meet up with John and try to talk to him to make sure everything was okay. It took some effort to get him to open up, but he finally did, and what he said really rocked our family. He said that I'm not their real son. We all immediately tried to reassure him that mom and dad loved him and we do too, but he had all these stories about how mom and dad treated him differently. There were a lot of examples. Things like older brother would hug or kiss mom on the cheek, but she'd push John off if he tried the same. Dad would happily talk sports with anyone, but would be short with John. Our grandparents were never excited to see him. Aunts and uncles not interested in him or his hobbies or what was going on at school. One incident where dad asked each boy to go on a hunting trip and never asked John until they were leaving. And when he did finally ask, you could tell my dad was annoyed, and my brothers did confirm this one because they thought it was weird how dad acted too. When John said he was fine with not going, they said dad looked happy about it. So maybe John's not imagining things.
Yeah, maybe like the parents or the other siblings didn't really notice because, you know, they still loved him just the same, but obviously from John's perspective, it was not that way. That's so sad.
And also he's probably, you know, I mean, not to kind of mitigate any of the experiences that John has had, but he's also probably hyper vigilant about noticing them because he's kind of already this out to himself. He thinks he's an outsider
from being adopted.
And then he's like, okay, let's find all the things that prove that.
I can understand if it feels uncomfortable coming into a family where they already have kids. Like if you're being adopted into it and you kind of maybe don't trust right away that you are accepted, and then obviously, you just notice these little things that confirm that.
Yeah.
So sad.
John would ask for help with schoolwork. Mom or dad would say they were tired or tell him to ask teachers, but they'd stay up with the rest of us. You get the idea. There was a lot of stuff, and enough of us witnessed it that we don't think he was misremembering things or making them up. John wasn't bitter or angry about this. He said that he understood that they wouldn't be able to love him the same way they loved us, and that it would be inhuman of me to ask that of them, which broke my heart. He said he refused the money from dad because he would have felt badly about him using it on him instead of his real children.
What?
He said he would always love them and respect them and be grateful for their sacrifices in raising him, but that it was too painful to be around them for too long because he knew they couldn't be what he wanted and that he couldn't be what they wanted. Our oldest sister was impassioned by this and told my parents about it. It was a crap show. Mom crying, dad punting a wall. They're both ashamed and hurt and insist that they love him just as much as they do the rest of us.
That sounds like the best way to prove that always.
Yeah, punch a wall.
Like, wait, you think we don't love you?
He's like,
what are you talking about?
I'm sorry, you love me, you love me. Like, what? I mean, it doesn't
so
seem like they're doing
scary.
that in front of John, but
That's just, those are insane reactions to that.
that is not how you show that you love this kid.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, you can always try to make up for the actions that you have done in the past, but you may have permanently lost out on that relationship with him.
I wonder if the siblings can rekindle their relationship.
I hope so.
Yeah, because it's not their fault, but if it doesn't feel the same way with the parents, then maybe not. Maybe it's best to move on.
Now that John knows our parents know he's upset, he's apprehensive about coming around, which is understandable. We love our brother and our parents love him too, and we all miss him. How do we fix this? Editing to add, I just learned from her that apparently mom had a talk with John and asked him if he had any improper feelings about us, which, holy crap, if nothing else, made him feel like an outsider. That did. And there is an update, but yikes. What a weird question to ask, like, this son that you've kind of raised alongside adoptive siblings.
Yeah.
But
what was the question again?
she's basically asking him if he was into any of the siblings.
Oh, what?
Which is such, when he was younger, I think.
What?
Which is such a weird question to ask a child who's been raised as a sibling.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Unless, I doubt there was any, reason that she asked. I don't think he was probably doing anything.
Sure, of course.
But it's just a weird question.
It just kind of is more proof of how the mom viewed the kid.
Yeah.
And which is not necessarily as equal as the other kids.
She may have loved him, but it wasn't as a son.
Yeah, not in the same way, at least.
No.
It was like he was their ward. He was the Euron Greyjoy of the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Update. The first people I wanted to really talk to were my parents. I didn't share everything John shared with us in the thread I made, but there were so many things they'd done that were just downright cruel. This conversation was fairly quiet and extremely emotional. I only write adopted brother here because I want to communicate with people reading, but in my heart, he's just my brother. So when I detailed the things John remembered, I began to cry, and it hurt even more because I almost wanted my parents to deny. I wanted them to be sure they'd never done anything so mean, and that maybe John was remembering things wrong. They never denied anything, though. When specific instances arose, you could see them turn their heads or eyes away in shame. They'd get up and pace, put their heads down. Never a denial. When I asked them, most time they say they didn't realize they were doing something or that they were too careless. They kept saying that there was no excuse for it. You just can't, you can apologize now, but you're never going to get that relationship back.
Yeah.
Because the all of the, bonding moments you've already missed out on.
Yeah, exactly.
I asked my father specifically about the fishing trip he didn't invite John on. He said that he'd asked the other boys and it just never crossed his mind to go out of his way and ask John.
How is it out of your way to ask one kid but not the others?
How? I asked them both why they didn't help him with homework or make sure their 18-year-old leaving had a solid plan and would be safe. I never got a response on that. I asked my mom about why she pushed John off when he tried to be affectionate towards her, and her response is the one that really leaves me at a loss. She was very honest and said that in her mind, she couldn't ignore the fact that he was a spicily mature man who was not biologically related. Gross. Gross.
Who is saying this?
The mother.
This mother.
This is the second she is, like, I don't know how else to say this. I'll say schmexualizing.
Yeah.
She is schmexualizing this child.
Yeah, her
Repeatedly.
child.
Repeatedly, she has brought up nature's, like, you know, oh, are you attracted to your siblings? Oh, I feel like I can't hug this child.
Yeah.
Because he's an adult man.
Oh,
That you've raised.
That
She's
is
raised
crazy.
him.
Who let this lady adopt a kid?
I don't know.
Great question.
I don't know. She does not deserve to.
Mm-mm.
She said it felt no different having my other brothers hug and kiss her as babies as it would today, but that around the time John went through puberty, she couldn't see him as one of her babies anymore. She said her instinct then became to protect her daughters just in case. Disgusting.
My gosh.
Disgusting.
Protect the son.
I suggest getting a bear to move into your house.
I suggest that she get a therapist.
Yeah.
She
All
said
of the above.
yeah.
Well,
She said it was hard and she wasn't happy about it, but she'd rather have protected us and gone too far to John's detriment than been lax to our detriment. Or you can just be a good parent.
Do what you signed up for when adopting a whole child.
She said when John left, she felt relieved. After talking with them, I spoke with my older sister, who is still very angry. Same with our siblings. We all, the siblings, love him and want him back in our lives like before. We don't want to lose him. I reached out to John, and it was a bittersweet conversation to have. We both were happy to be talking to each other. We still have our inside jokes and things like that, and we can hang out like nothing ever happened. But when we spoke about reestablishing our old relationship, he said it would be difficult. By the way, you know what's not difficult? Listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. And there is a little bit left.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have any final thoughts?
My thoughts are ew and gross, and you should not have been able to adopt anyone, and ew and
Those are my exact thoughts. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that the thing that's getting me is there's like the disconnect that like the only kid that could have done any of these things she's worried about is John just because he's adopted, where it's like actually any one of your
literally
kids could have done
anyone.
that.
There are
Like,
so many, I mean, like awful, but there are so many instances of blood relatives
Right.
being predators.
that's why that's why you got to keep your eyes up
Well, no, that's
as
why.
parents.
That's why
but
you
it's not
are
just
parenting
the
all of your
adopted
children.
kid who's
Exactly.
Right.
the prime suspect.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm sure. Like,
Just
and also
weird.
if that's again, not saying that John would ever do this, but like if you want to prevent any of this from happening, ostracizing your child certainly is not like the best preventative measure.
Absolutely not. And then also too, it's like it's not even the fact that she's like just worried this is going to happen. She's kind of decided for herself that this will happen. Like when he left, she was relieved, you know, and it's like, give him a chance, man.
Yeah.
You have the chance to parent him away from that.
I agreed. But there is a little bit left to this story. He said he would love to be my brother, but that he felt gross around us girls because of mom and that he feels like less than around our brothers. He said that loneliness sucks, but that it's better than feeling like people would rather not have you around. He said he felt like a family friend that everyone liked, but who stuck around too long. Oof.
Dang.
Ooh. Ouch.
Dang.
We both ended up crying. It was very ugly. We at least decided that we try as siblings.
Wow.
And that's the end of that story,
Yeah.
folks. My husband stopped prioritizing us because he found a new family.
Oh, I had to get them. They were on sale.
My husband, John, and I are mid-30s and have been together 8 years. We've been through a lot of big life stressors. It has strained our marriage, and we worked hard in 2 years of marriage counseling to rebuild. By the way, this comes from Dead Acre, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm now 8 months pregnant. I'm feeling vulnerable, huge, hormonal, and tired. I'm the primary earner, and my workload has been a lot on top of baby prep. I'm normally a very rational, independent, and sort of non-emotive person. I've never been jealous before, but my husband has a new female friend, Pam, and I'm now jealous and possessive. Even I find it weird. Pam is mid-20s, white, has my husband's preferred physical features, is bubbly, spontaneous, in an open relationship, and into the same hobbies as my husband. I have my own qualities, but I'm pretty much the opposite. John met Pam and liked her immediately. I remember him coming home and telling me how cool she was, and he'd been invited to a hobby event she hosts with her partners. He's been attending that every other weekend for a year. Then, a few months later, he also wanted me to get to know Pam, so we've started having her and her partner Kevin over with some of our other friends on the in-between weekends, so my husband sees them every weekend. To be fair, Pam and Kevin have been really nice and are good friends to John, but there are things I've noticed. Pam always sits next to John. She and John say, "Love you," casually to each other with the group. John is very protective of Pam, and he remembers things she likes and buys her gifts. Nothing pricey, but thoughtful. If for some reason one of those events is canceled, John is noticeably sad. Going even a weekend without seeing them is hard for him. Because of these weekend commitments, we don't do date nights and rush other activities. If I have other plans, then we split up and don't see each other. We're discussing and counseling, but can't come to an agreement. Our counselor facilitates, but doesn't give direct guidance. I've shared that he feels like he's prioritizing this relationship over our own, that I hate that these standing date nights with Pam and her partner trumps our own, that he's not keeping up with commitments to me or the baby, and I'm managing with my own support network of family and paid help, but at 8 months along, I need help, that this needs to change. He's shared that Pam and her partners are part of his new chosen family, since he's had to move away from his family because of me, that I said it was okay for him to spend this time with them, and I can't just change my mind. That is unfair. That he's willing to spend more time with me, but that something else needs to give, either chores for him or me adjusting my work schedule. That he thinks I'm overly sensitive and am only worried because Pam's relationships are open and my insecurities are something I should deal with individual therapy.
I'm just like 8 months pregnant and you're neglecting
And you're hanging out with
me
Pam
for...
and her polycule.
Yeah, you're neglecting me to get polyculed.
I'm really not sure what a compromise looks like, and counseling seems to just cause us to entrench more. Wondering what advice anyone out there might have. And there are some relevant comments. How do you plan to handle the new upcoming baby? Have you discussed what your schedule will look like then? Since he's going to need to spend a lot of time caring for the child and your schedules will need to change. It seems like the thing to do is to start fresh and decide what things are going to look like once the baby is born. Since you are the primary earner, he should be the primary caregiver, and you both will have less time for socializing. Opie says, we're gonna take a break from social commitments for 2 months and then reevaluate, but he's likely to want to continue to see them at least every other weekend. The compromise to take care of the baby is he's going to stop working to care for baby Monday through Friday, 1 weekend day for our family, and 1 weekend day with Pam and crew for their hobby. I've said in counseling this doesn't seem reasonable. I'm running out of options. Debating calling my husband's dad at this point, who I'm close with and will ebb on my side, but husband will probably lose it if I bring in his dad. Deleted says she's in an open marriage and they say love you to each other in public. He's cheating on you. How does he defend this in therapy? OP says he says it just means love you in a generic, casual way. And when they say it, they mean it to everyone in the group. He says it's the same as when he says love you to male friends he's close with. And I shouldn't read too much into it. I've never said love you to a male friend, even only rarely to female friends. Deleted, did you tell him it makes you uncomfortable? Opie says, I think my exact words were, it's weird and I hate it, while crying. Second trimester was a fun time. He chalked it up to hormones and we never spoke about it again. I haven't heard them say it in front of me again, but who knows what they text or say when they're together. The Void, you're pregnant with his child? If his passed away deadbeat friends want to go have a new family, tell him to enjoy that and take him to the cleaners for child support. These gaming nights, is it D&D or something similar? Watch a YouTube channel called Neckbeardia. Get a sobering laugh from listening to the stories of spicy related debauchery that tends to happen in those gatherings. Your husband does not want to be with you anymore. He isn't spicily attracted to you anymore. You married a child who wants to play with others instead of taking care of his offspring. Guys like this make me want to vomit. OP says, ding, 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 Dungeons and Dragons with MTG for good measure.
Magic the Gathering.
Mama Meets says, have you talked to Pam to find out what he's been telling her? I'm disappointed that she hasn't clued in to put a stop to it, but he could be lying to her. After all, you have been part of this social circle too. Is she friendly with you too? I would explain that he's been behaving in ways ways towards her and in private with you that make you very uncomfortable, and you'd rather communicate openly with her about it. It will give you a better read on it. And best case scenario, it may very well put a stop to it if he had been misleading her. OP says, I only see Pam in a group setting along with other friends, and she's now been introduced to my friend group. We're socially nice to each other, but definitely not close enough to talk directly to each other. And to be honest, neither of us really likes the other. We're very, very different people. And there is an update. Do you think the fact that they're playing D&D changes anything?
Well, it doesn't mean that it's like impossible that there's anything like crazy going on by any means, but like it does certainly like turn it into a coin flip of like, is this dude just like addicted to Magic the Gathering and tabletop role-playing games?
It's a possibility.
Or is he like also infatuated with the idea that Pam could be his wife instead of his actual wife?
Also a possibility.
Yeah, it just adds another wrinkle.
It adds another layer.
I'm still like, the fact that your partner has done nothing to sort of ease your mind into like, hey, this like bothers me and I'm concerned by this and I'm uncomfortable by this.
And he's just dismissing.
He's done nothing to address it. It's like, that's a huge red flag.
But there is an update. It's been a while since our little boy is 2.5 now. Whoa.
Okay.
2.5 year jump, folks.
Wow.
Thank you to everyone who commented. It was the punch in the butt I needed to lay down the law. Especially the folks that rightly pointed out I was a passive doormat without self-respect. That stung, but was true. After my post, I had a big sit down with John on the things I was upset about. My husband was traveling to be a groomsman for a good friend. I told him to stay out there for an additional week and decide. 1, if he wanted to stay married and wanted to be a family. 2, if he wanted the above, think about what needed to change on his part. Not just Pam, but other stuff too. How he was going to be a good husband and father going forward. 3, arrange to go over it with me and our marriage counselor on his return. Alternatively, if he didn't do the above, then when he got back, we'd start logistics on separation and co-parenting. And surprisingly, he did all of the above. Apparently, he reflected a lot at the wedding. His friend and wife are so in love and thought a lot about us and our relationship and what he wanted. He came back and proposed changes, immediate break from Pam and company, and stopped their hobby. He'd play some D&D and Magic the Gathering online, but that was it. He'd take over remaining baby prep, nursery, logistics, and promised to lay out a postpartum care plan for me and my baby. He stuck to his word and also worked hard to regain my trust. Then we had our son, and my husband was over the moon in love. He and baby have been inseparable ever since and have amazing adventure-filled life with all the hobbies, baby toddler swim, gym, soccer, co-op, and a great local parent community. After our kiddo was born, Pam lost interest in my husband anyway. She doesn't like kids, and shortly thereafter cheated on her poly relationship. Pam.
Oh, Pam.
Kevin and John have actually become good friends since then, but John is straight, so I have no worries there. And as I've reflected, I think I also just actually hated Pam. She's everything I don't like, relying on men for affirmation, no job, life ambition, frivolous, and stupid. And apparently, according to Kevin, the feeling was mutual. She thought I was a controlling, stuck-up, robotic Ivy League workaholic who didn't appreciate or support my husband's hobbies or quirks. I was also a lot more emotional during pregnancy than normal. My husband, upon reflection, liked being needed and admired. By the way, we would love and admire you if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this that you can find on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio, and search up OK Storytime. We had a lot to work through with us, but 2 years later, we're in a great spot. I also had a weird shift in hormones postpartum, which made my spicy sleep drive really, really high, which for us helped a lot with our relationship.
Turned me into an improviser.
Didn't want this to be too long, but there were a lot of changes we implemented to get back to a loving place. John feels a lot of purpose in being a dad and supported me as my career has taken off. Sometimes things are still hard. My job is really high stress. Toddlers are a lot of work, etc., but we're pretty happy. We spent this morning snuggling in bed with our toddler and dog, pretending we were on a boat, making hairdryer sounds and giving hugs. We live a pretty boring suburban kind of life, but it works for us. Thanks everyone for the push for me to stand up for what I wanted and needed. And folks, that's the end of that story. Sometimes there are happy endings. Okay?
We love to see it.
Sometimes there are happy endings.
My stepmother tried to sabotage my engagement for her son.
Ew.
My stepmother is trying to sabotage my engagement to make her son happy. Hi, I'm 24 years old male. My girlfriend is 25 female. Let's call her Kara. My dad is 52 male, Toby. My stepmother is Karen, 51 female. And my stepbrother Tom is 36 male. Fake names, but I'm gonna try and keep it simple. My mother passed away, so she isn't in the story. By the way, this comes from Safe Albatross 9071. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Keon.
I met my girlfriend 7 years ago at an anime convention in New York City. I remember we used to work together for an ambulance company. She didn't remember me, but I remembered her. She was meeting up with someone else, but he never showed up. We clicked and have been good friends since. Then, during the pandemic, I asked her out to date, and we have been together since. Kara is amazing. She loves anime, fantasy novels, science fiction, TV shows, and novels, and My Little Pony friendship is magic. She also loves true crime podcasts. Not my thing, but it makes her happy. Kara had never met my family when we were together as friends, but once we started dating, I decided it was time to introduce her to my dad, stepmom, and stepbrother. Everything was so cool. Kara was a hit amongst my family. My stepbrother wouldn't leave her alone, but I thought it was him just getting to know her. My dad and stepmom loved her too. My stepbrother Tom during this time was becoming a little annoying. Coming over to my apartment more frequently.
I know what's happening.
And texting Kara a lot. She told me, but we felt it wasn't anything to be concerned about. Tom's visits became more and more frequent when Kara and I moved in together. A year after moving in, my stepmother asked if Tom could move in with us because he was moving out of my dad's house and this would be the first time he would be living alone.
Okay.
And being with family would help. We had an extra bedroom in the house we were renting. It was a guest bedroom. Kara and myself agreed so long as it was only for a year at most.
You fools.
Tom moved in and became extremely clingy. He wanted to hang out with us every day. Kara and myself, when we get home, like to unwind by playing video games, reading books together, watching movies in bed, or going over to a friend's house and playing D&D. Since Tom moved in, he has been involved in everything, except when we read together.
He's sitting next to them.
We read different
Read me a
books.
story.
Why aren't you reading them out loud?
Why
like
do
mommy
these books
does?
have any pictures in them? Do your fun voice.
Except when we read together, we read different books on the patio. We just enjoy each other's company. Tom would come outside and start talking to us about whatever, or sit on the couch when we were playing video games together and ask to have a turn.
It's my turn. Mummy said I could have a turn. You've been playing all day.
Kara likes to have her alone time just to veg out and listen to music or a podcast and cook. Tom would be in the kitchen and strike up a conversation, so she wasn't able to listen to music or her true crime podcast. She wasn't complaining about it though, because she does not like confrontation. Tom also would ask to go grocery shopping with Kara. He also would invite himself out with us on our date night.
I want to come on your date night. It's not fair. You always go on your date nights
You always
together.
get all of the date nights with Kara. I want a date night with Kara. We tried at first to not tell him we were going out, but he would cry to his mom, and she would say we were not being nice to Tom, that this was the first time on his own, and he was lonely.
How old is he again? 20s?
Tom crossed the line when Kara and myself booked a vacation, and he just so happened to book the same cruise as us. That was a huge red flag because it wasn't random. We booked a cruise that was hosting a true crime convention cruise.
Sick.
Tom is not interested in true crime. I am not interested in true crime like Kara, but this was my treat for her. After the events of that cruise, and there was a lot of drama on it, I told Tom and my dad that we needed our space and Tom needed to move out. My stepmother did not take this well. Luckily, my dad put his foot down and told Karen it had been 14 months and Tom needed to find his own place. Tom moved back home with my dad and Karen. We had our peace for a while. Tom was still coming over a lot, but we were avoiding him as much as possible.
Is anyone home? Mummy is here.
Is Kara home? I want to play my video games.
Please.
Mommy stopped letting me when I moved back.
Mommy won't let me in anymore.
Now for what is happening now. I asked my dad for my mom's wedding ring to propose to Kara. My dad happily gave me the ring, no questions asked, and his wedding ring, too, for myself. Karen found out, and she has been unpleasant since. She makes comments about Kara being older than myself and that she will not have much time to have children. She said to me that Kara is an older woman, and that is not proper. You know who's an older man? Tommy!
Kara's just not she's not age appropriate for you. She should be with a more mature man. A more mature man.
More mature man, like my Tommy.
Like my Tommy, I think they would be just the most smashing match.
I told Karen I don't, and that she isn't going to get married to Kara. I am. Tom found out about the engagement and also has been telling me that Kara isn't right for me. He said, I don't understand Kara like he does. He also said we will be divorced in a year of marriage. Well, I planned an engagement party for Kara to propose, and everything was perfect. I planned a pool party in our backyard with both our friends and family. 2 hours before the party, my dad called and said that Karen accidentally ate shrimp and had to go to the hospital and he couldn't come. So I decided to have the party and not pop the question. I wanted my dad with me. We know she ate that shrimp on purpose, though, right?
She did.
We know she gave herself anaphylaxis on purpose, right?
Oh, yeah.
The party was fun. I decided to plan a nice dinner for Kara's family and mine to celebrate and pop the question. Unfortunately, Karen got a flat tire upstate and needed my dad to drive upstate to help her 3 hours before the dinner. So I decided to wait. I tried again, and this time I was going to ask Kara at my dad's barbecue party he was hosting. Unfortunately, the night before, my dad's grill was broken and he had to cancel. Hey, OP, I need you to stop telling them when you plan to propose to Kara.
Yeah.
I need it to be a surprise for everyone.
It.
Full
Everyone's gotta be
surprise.
surprised. Stop informing them.
I also want to see the look on Mommy and Tommy's face.
Mommy and Tommy.
So I decided, since we had a lot of bad luck, to ask Kara on a vacation to Japan.
Lovely.
I didn't tell
Sweet.
anyone. I had it all planned out and booked a spa day in Japan and asked her. She said yes!
Oh,
And we posted our good news.
lovely.
By the way, I have great news for you. We have full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, your favorite podcast app. Search OK Storytime. But I mean, you're engaged now.
Woo!
Yay!
You did it. Tommy at the wedding and they're
You
gonna be
pouting.
like, does anybody have any
He's gonna lean over. He's gonna be like, "Mommy,
reason?
Mommy, object for me.
Has anyone have any reason why these two should not be married?
Can you leave that part out? Can
Yeah.
they just skip it?"
I think you could just skip it.
My dad was so happy. Karen was not. She blew up my phone, saying, how could I do this to Tom? She told me Tom is in love with Kara, and she is his one and only. She said, we are not a good match. Kara is older and much better fit for Tom. I knew Tom had a crush on Kara, but she doesn't like him like that. Karen was calling and texting nonstop now, saying, can I just let Tom have Kara?
Tom wants Kara.
I called her crazy butt and told her Kara is a human and she isn't something to be given away and she doesn't belong to anybody. I called my dad and showed him the voicemail and text messages. My dad wasn't shocked, but he is staying at my house because he doesn't know what to do and he doesn't want to talk about why he left. But Tom and Karen keep driving by the house and trying to call my dad. We blocked both of them. I don't know, but I may get a restraining order because this is making Kara really uncomfortable. Any advice,
Yeah.
please? We have some comments. Comment 1. I was shocked y'all agreed to let him live with you for a year.
Yeah.
A grown butt man who is 10 years older than you does not need to live with anyone when he is moving out of his parents' house. He needs to move out on his own and be an effing adult. Karen was trying to do everything in her power to stop you from proposing. I'm glad it didn't work out, but I'm sorry that she kept your dad from being there. You need to password protect everything for the wedding. Get a protection order against Tom and Karen and help your dad realize it's time for a divorce. Worst case scenario is he goes back to her. He needs to file for divorce and give an eviction notice to Karen and Tom if the house is in his name only. I hope you have a great wedding and a happy life with Kara. Comment 2. So is Tom mentally disabled or something? You should definitely ask Kara's father for advice on what to do about them. Your stepmother is a psycho, but why can't Tom live on his own? Does he even work? Maybe Kara should write him a letter telling him she doesn't love him and that he is making her uncomfortable. What a crazy ordeal. Is this real? How could you not have noticed how unhinged they are before this? OP replies, I don't know if Tom has any mental disorders. I have no idea why he can't live alone.
Thank God.
Karen is my stepmother. I met at 14, and after my mom passed away and my dad remarried, grew closer to my mom's family. I miss my mom and her sister, my aunt, helped me out during this time. My aunt is very important to me, and she cooked just like my mom did. So I was at my aunt's house a lot and didn't pay attention to his relationship/marriage. That's the end of that.
There you freaking go.
There you go.
Wowee.
Congratulations. I totally forgot, but isn't that the one that's from our subreddit?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's even better. Yes.
So
I hope you.
congrats.
I hope you like that one.
My brother-in-law took advantage of my sister's grief, so I called him out.
Call him out.
Characters: me, female, my hubby, dear husband, my sister-in-law Lynn, and my brother-in-law Larry.
Larry.
All right. All of us are old enough to have our acts together and know how to be adults. Or so you'd think. By the way, this comes from Sensitive Beat 2442. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So the problem is that Larry has been on substances and booze on and off for the past 20 years. And even when he's clean and sober, he's still a jerk. Dear husband and I avoid him like the plague. Lynn is a super sweet sibling who is honestly too good for her own good and can't bear to tell anyone no.
Tricky.
She also has her own set of emotional and mental health issues, and Lynn is physically disabled to a certain extent. So she is a sitting duck for Larry to take advantage of. Larry sounds like the worst kind of person.
Yeah, Larry sounds pretty awful.
A year ago, my elderly father-in-law, Dad, was living with Lynn, or he was passing away from dementia and a bunch of other issues, and Lynn took more and more care of him. She ended up being his full-time nurse, but without pay. Larry moved in with them during the last 8 months or so of Dad's life and proceeded to empty Dad's bank account each month.
Oh, just despicable.
Oh my God. He had Dad's bank card and would help himself to the cash in the account whenever Dad's Social Security money came through. The worst kind of people prey on the young and elderly.
Yeah.
Lynn had her hands full with nursing Dad and didn't have the emotional or physical energy to deal with anything else. So Larry pretty much did whatever he wanted. Of course, he contributed nothing to the household expenses. Dear husband and I refused to come over to the house except for rare occasions. Then a year ago, Dad finally passed away. Lynn was the executor of the will and had to get the house sold. She also inherited all the possessions inside the house. We assumed we would help her get the house ready to sell, and she would handle the estate stuff. But 3 months after Dad's death, nothing was happening. Lynn was struggling with depression and could barely even get out of bed, let alone start cleaning out the house or getting ready to sell. To make it worse, Larry started taking her car and disappearing with it for days or even weeks at a time. Then he started committing petty crimes while in the car. Oh my God. Driving off without paying for gas, running red lights, shoplifting. The car ended up being impounded in a neighboring state. Larry stayed in jail overnight and then called Lynn asking her to help him get back home. The audacity.
Yeah, no.
My hubby and I finally had enough. Put your foot freaking down. I am not a lawyer or a paralegal, but I work in a field that requires me to do a lot of things you have to do to settle an estate. So I feel confident in my ability to do what Lynn wasn't getting done, picking up the slack.
Mm-hmm.
I asked if she wanted me to help her with the estate, and she cried with relief and begged me to do it because she just couldn't. The first thing I did was ask her if Larry was paying rent or contributing to the household expenses in any way. I mean, this is Larry we're talking about.
This is Larry.
She said no. I confirmed this with her several times and also made sure there was no lease agreement anywhere. Somehow Larry got back into the house. He took the other vehicle, one that belonged to my father-in-law, and drove off with it. With him gone, my hubby and I changed the locks in the house and left a note on the door telling him he was no longer welcome in the house. And we waited.
It's just a note on the door that says, Larry,
No Larry's allowed.
don't come in. You're not allowed, Larry.
3 days later, Larry came back to the house and found the note. He was pissed. He came back with the police.
What?
Larry controls the police. Came back with the police and got Lynn to say that, yes, he was living there and had been paying rent. So the police told her that she had to let him back in, and everything went back to normal, except now Larry was taking off with the other car, which had belonged to Dad, whenever he felt like it, and Lynn's car was still impounded who knows where. When we found out, dear husband and I confronted Larry and then Lynn. And that's when we found out that Larry did, in fact, pay for 3 months after Dad fell into eternal sleep. Lynn forgot about it. He gave Lynn cash each time, and the cash did show up in her bank account. Wait, so...
Lynn, that's a big thing to forget about.
Maybe Larry isn't such a devil. So that's what I did. I decided to treat him like a tenant while I behaved like a landlord. A mean and greedy but still legal landlord. It was time for maximum petty. I immediately wrote out a notice that Larry's rent was going up by 10% effective in 30 days and by another 10% in 60 days, the maximum we can do by law in the state. I wrote out another notice that Larry's lease was terminated again to take effect in 60 days. I knew he wouldn't leave in 60 days, so the rent increase was to make it more painful for him when he stayed past the termination date, making Larry squirm.
Cast him out.
Cast him out. I also notified him that from now on, all rent payments must be made by check or credit card, and I introduced him into the concept of late fees, again to the maximum allowable amount. I had Lynn sign these, and then I put them under the door of his room and videoed myself doing so. Since I was now basically the acting property manager, I also went through the house and started taking pictures of any paperwork that had been left out and open for view. You can only guess how dirty and messy the house was, with substance paraphernalia and just general mayhem everywhere. But the good news is that Larry had left his mail open for viewing all over the place, including all the legal notices for his many court cases.
Larry.
You thought you could run from the law, Larry? Larry on the lamb?
Oh, Larry.
Larry's the devil. He can do whatever he wants.
I took pictures of all of it and put all of the information in a spreadsheet for easier tracking. I now know where he was supposed to appear in court and where. And Lynn would let me know if he actually made his appearance or not. If he didn't, I was sure the relevant court would like to know where he was. Opie's trying to snitch.
Do it.
And we got an update. So, John, we're going to get back to the story, but I got to tell you, I've been loving these pearls that I got in Colombia.
You are a delicious beaded man nowadays.
I do feel more confident at the very least, but I think these pearls pale in the amount of confidence an OK Storytime membership can get you.
That's right. You get 60 plus hours a month of exclusive live stream content. That's advice that'll make you the best version of yourself.
And it's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Crack open that oyster and get the blues. But let's get back to the story.
Larry is getting charged every penny I can legally come up with, but he's still in the house. I give him notice after notice about the fees he's incurring, which will be deducted from his share of the estate. He refuses to read any of them, but I make sure he gets them anyway. Plus, we know from all of his legal paperwork sitting around everywhere that his driver's license is suspended, but he is still taking Dad's car, which is part of the estate, and driving it wherever he darn pleases. It's a matter of time before he gets impounded too. The money to get back would have to come out of his part of the estate. So Larry is draining his estate too right now. He's draining his
you fool.
You fool, Larry.
We're gonna run out of money, Larry. And then what will you do?
We disable the car by taking out the distributor cap in the battery. And because of my son is an auto mechanic, he also takes a picture of the wiring in the car before completely undoing it. We can restore it easily enough, but Larry would have to get a mechanic to figure out how to get the wiring back, and he'd still have to get a new battery and distributor cap. But just in case, we also took the license plate off so that if he did manage to get it started, he would get a lot of attention on the road. I just wish we could have seen his face when he tried to start it and looked under the hood.
So you're
freaking
breaking
Larry.
apart your car so that Larry can't get into it?
I mean, sometimes you got to take drastic measures when you got a
Sure.
guy like Larry infecting every area of your life
Okay.
with just terrible Larryness.
Terrible Larryness.
Couple months go by, and to make a long story short, we managed to get the house under contract as
Sick.
is, and Larry moves out.
Woo!
Sayonara, Larry. Go back to whence you came.
Bye.
He rents a U-Haul to get his stuff out of the house, and then he is gone. Yay. But the week of closing, Larry comes back. No!
Larry.
No!
Just like the devil appears out of nowhere.
No! He breaks in and trashes the house.
Larry.
Not only that, but he shows up at the house while the buyer is doing the final
No.
inspection as high as a kite.
No, Larry.
The sale nearly falls through, but in the end, the house closes. Thank God Larry couldn't mess that up.
That's good.
And the money from it is added to the estate, which will be divided equally among 3 siblings. We have narrowly managed to avoid disaster. Narrowly, but as we've known from this story, Larry will find a way to mess things up.
Mhm.
With the proceeds from the house and some other assets, it looks like each of the 3 siblings will get around $50,000 as
shabby.
inheritance.
Not too shabby at all.
We just have to wait for the estate to close. A couple more months go by, and Larry is living in a trailer that a friend of mine is willing to lease to him.
Larry's living La Vida Loca.
My friend doesn't see him for a couple of weeks, but then suddenly state troopers show up on her property wanting to know where Larry is.
Larry, look at you getting in trouble again.
Larry's got at least 3 stars, GTA style.
Yes.
They're looking for Larry.
Yes.
They're looking for Larry.
For Larry. Actively.
Turns out that he stole a U-Haul that he used to move out of my dad's house. My friend calls me and I end up on the phone with the state trooper. Since I've been carefully documenting everything about Larry for the past few months, I am able to tell him and the troopers some likely locations to find that Larry. Then I also call the U-Haul store where he rented the truck and give him the same information. At least they can get their moving van back. But Larry will not be able to get anything out of it in less than 60 days. He has lost everything that he took out of the house in less than 60 days.
Dang. He's
Larry
quit.
was up and then all the way down.
Well, that's how it goes. The house always wins.
And we got another Larry update. Larry has been punted out of the trailer my friend was so kind to let him use. And he has at least 1 arrest warrant out. Man is 1 star. Larry's always at least 1 star
Yeah,
in.
he's got a running star there.
As far as we know, he's officially homeless. Lynn is living with us, protected, so she finally doesn't have to worry about him stealing her car, thank God. But Larry still calls her periodically and asks for money, which she thankfully doesn't give him. He also begs to live with us, which is a giant heck to the no. Meanwhile, we continue settling the estates. Assets are liquidated, debts are paid, and I submit a final accounting to the court. I carefully document what Larry owes to the estate, which includes all the money he took out of my father-in-law's bank account before and after his death, along with the rent that he said he paid, but we never found any evidence of it. Hey, if he claimed to be a tenant, I'm going to treat him like a tenant, including all the late fees. All right. There we go. OP kind of giving brass tacks to that freaking Larry. One of the notices I gave him that he blew off said that we would end the lease the date he left the property and he wouldn't owe any rent past that date as long as he stayed away. But since he actually did come back and trash the place, I charge him for that time too, plus late fees. Hashtag petty princess.
Gotta fight Larry with Larry.
Yeah. Remember, all this settling of the estate is technically being done by Lynn, not me. She is the executor, but I've been doing all the paperwork, explaining everything to her, and she signs off on it. I make sure all the paperwork gets everywhere it needs to go, sending certified letters, dropping off signed forms in person, etc. It's a lot of work, but it's the only way the estate will get settled. Finally, we receive word that the estate is settled and we can distribute the leftover money to the heirs. Larry owes the estate tens of thousands of dollars, Yikes. So that is withheld from his portion and goes to his siblings. But he also owes Lynn $1,000 and also owes my friend money for damage to her property. We can't take that out of the estate. I sent him a message. If he signs a release allowing us to pay those debts out of his portion, I will drive wherever he is, most likely in a shelter somewhere, and give him his check. If he doesn't, then it's up to Lynn to figure out exactly what he is owed and how to get him his money, and it will take a lot longer. And Lynn is okay with his plan. Okay. Best of all, Larry can't complain to the court about me not helping. I'm not the executor. I don't have to lift a finger if I don't like it. By the way, you should always like our podcast, OK Storytime. You can search it wherever you get your podcast and listen to us 24/7. It's pretty great.
24/7, 365.
So yes, he agreed to the terms. My hubby and I drove into town and met him in the park. I wasn't going to meet him alone. Probably good. He signed the release and I gave him the check. He had the nerve to ask us for money, but we really weren't even surprised at that point. We just ignored him and walked away. And that is the end of our interaction with him, unless he miraculously turns his life around someday.
I doubt it.
I hope that for his sake, but there are some bridges that you can only cross in one direction. Like the song goes, you can't go back again. I pray that he gets the help and motivation he needs, but I also pray that we, including Lynn, are never subject to his misbehavior again. And that is where the Larry saga ends.
My mother-in-law is way too involved in my wedding planning, so we took away her power. Hi, I'm new to Reddit, and I got my post taken down, so someone suggested I come here for advice. I, 26 female, have been with my fiance, 27 male, who we'll call Mark, for 6 years. Those 6 years have been great. We've had fights and issues, but never something big that gave me a red flag. He's a great man to me, and he's always treated me so well. By the way, this comes from Mary's World, and if you want to submit your own stories, then go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. Now here comes the issue. Mark has left the wedding planning to me since he knows that I love this type of stuff, and I've always had a vision for what my wedding is going to look like. My soon-to-be mother-in-law has very loud opinions on a lot of things that I want for my wedding. When we went to the store to try on dresses, it was me, my sister, my mother, and my mother-in-law. I knew I wanted a fitted off-the-shoulder wedding dress, and there were so many gorgeous ones that were my exact type. When I tried them on, everyone loved them, except my mother-in-law.
And that's when you say mother-in-law, it's my freaking dress, and it's my freaking wedding. I don't want to hear it.
My way or the freaking highway.
And you can take the 405, Buster.
She was very loud about her opinion and even went as far as to say that I looked like a spicy dancer. Her comment started a big fight between my family and her. My sister especially was pissed, and I admit said some pretty nasty things to my mother-in-law.
Good.
This resulted in her crying to my fiance. That day, me and my fiance fought, and he said that my family was in the wrong for upsetting his mother over a silly comment. I eventually gave in and got a dress that made everyone happy, which was a ball gown type dress. I come from a family of florists, so my family was covering for all of that. My mom owns her own flower shop, and she's the most popular in our town. Look at you go. Look at you. I love flowers. I always had since I was a child. This is something I'm not willing to give up. For my wedding, I always wanted a wildflower theme. I chose an outdoor venue and had a plan to decorate the place with my choice of flowers. I don't know why, but mother-in-law was so against the ideas of the flowers I chose. When she saw the bouquet and the flowers I chose, she yelled at me that this was tacky, that the people she invited to my wedding were going to think that her son is marrying someone cheap. Whoa, what the heck? Oh my gosh.
Well, maybe they'll think that she's marrying into a family where the mother-in-law is terrible.
She told me that red roses would look so much better and romantic.
Red roses are like the most common.
Yeah, they would have the least amount of personality.
Yeah, if you're basic, no offense to anyone who likes roses.
I refused, and she went to Mark about it. Mark and I ended up getting into a fight because this was something I absolutely refused to give up. He told me that it was just a small thing I had to give up and that after this was all over, we'd be happy with our new life. Even after the argument, I was adamant about my decision and wasn't backing down, which resulted in him leaving the house and going to his mother's. What a freaking mama's boy.
Little mama's boy. Mama, you can have your boy because I don't want him.
This has been going on for 3 days and he still hasn't texted me or called me back. And there are some comments. Comment number 1 says, not the a-hole. You don't have a mother-in-law problem, though. You have a fiance problem.
Exactly.
Think of this conflict as a warning. This is what your married life will be like. Any conflict, even one where your mother-in-law calls you a spicy dancer, will end with your future husband taking her side, not yours. He will always be on her side. Now imagine if you make a home together. It will be decorated like she wants. And if you have children together, I think you already know. You've spent 6 years together and he now feels comfortable to show what he's really like. Run away before you get stuck. Another person responds, what if mother-in-law doesn't like the names you pick for your kids? Hubby will take her side and let her pick. What if you want a dog, but mother-in-law hates them? The hubby will veto the dog. And what if mother-in-law wants a key to your house and you think that it's a bad idea? She's getting a key. What if mother-in-law abuses the key privilege to snoop and rearrange your furniture? Hubs will say that you're overreacting. What if mother-in-law wants to be in the delivery room and you say heck no? Guess who gets to stare at your vajayjay? Definitely setting up for the rest of your life. Comment number 2 says, info, why are you involving her in these decisions at all? She isn't your mother. She's the groom's mother. Make your own life easier and don't invite her wedding dress shopping.
Yeah, literally.
Don't consult her on flowers. Tell her you found a dress after it's purchased and you aren't showing anyone pictures. There you go. If she wants to be traditional about things, she can do a rehearsal dinner or luncheon and be in charge of that and leave the wedding to the bride. And someone else responds, on the contrary, I think it's great that OP included her fiance's mother. It gave her the opportunity to see so many red flags.
True.
I just hope that she doesn't ignore them. Arguing with OP and expecting her to change fundamental aspects of her wedding to appease his mommy? Give me an effing break.
Like your mother-in-law, but your fiance? I would not want to marry a man who is not on my side.
Yeah, like defend me when your mom calls me a spicy dancer for a dress I love.
I'd be like, how dare you?
And personally, I would just be like, all right, then a spicy dancer I shall be. But we do have an update. I want to start off by thanking everyone for being so nice and supportive. I've read all of your comments. Thank you all for the advice. Some of you are going to be a bit disappointed, but me and my fiance are not breaking it off. While a lot of you suggested that, I truly love this man with all my heart. My mom and sister has also pushed me to leave him as they said some nasty things I would rather not repeat. Oh, wow. We did postpone the wedding since we did not put the deposit for the venue and my mom is the one providing the decorations, etc. We were still in the early stages of planning the wedding, so we didn't lose much money.
That is excellent. Do not have a wedding until all of your problems are solved.
After I posted on Reddit, I took time to read all of your comments and sent a text to my husband along the lines of how immature he's acting and that if he keeps this silent treatment up, I'll be calling off the wedding.
Okay, girl, I don't know if we should have sent a text. Probably should have had that in person or calling.
I think that's the difficulty here is that he's like at the mom's house, which I forgot about. And he's just not responding. This is actually a big issue, I think.
So he's a child.
That seemed to get his attention quick since he replied back within an hour and came home that day. There you go. Get your man. I had a long discussion with Mark. I told him that I didn't have any issues with his mother and then I also appreciated her insight, but this wedding felt more like hers than mine. I also brought up the fact at how his mom insulted my mom by calling our choice of flowers tacky and cheap right in front of her. Me and my mom chose the flowers together. The mom owns the flowers. Like, that's definitely insulting. I also brought up the spicy dancer comment and that it hurt me and how easily he brushed that off. He ended up apologizing after all this and agreed to go to couples counseling with me. He also told me that he'd have a talk with his mother for her to step away from the wedding preparations and to let me choose what I want. After our talk, we both understood each other's perspective better. He felt pressured to say yes to her because his mother was all he had. He mentioned to me before how growing up she had to work 2 jobs to be able to support them both. I do feel for her, but it's still my wedding at the end of the day, and I explained that to him. He has been apologizing repeatedly these past days. He even bought me flowers and took me on a date. Question, were those flowers red roses? Or were they wildflowers? How well do you know your partner?
Did he buy those for $4 at Trader Joe's? Because if he's not going to the freaking farmer's market and spending $25 on them...
I do have some good news. While unfortunately I can't return my wedding dress, Mark has agreed to pay for however I choose to alter my dress. He didn't know that the dress I got wasn't really the one I had my heart set on, so when I mentioned this, he immediately offered to buy a new one, but I agreed instead to just altering it. To answer some of your questions, why is my future mother-in-law so involved? She has never had a wedding of her own, as her and Mark's father never got married. Before all of this, she was very friendly to me and always welcomed me, so I was just as equally shocked when this new persona came out of nowhere. I wanted to involve her since Mark is her only child, so they're very close. Mark also asked me himself to involve his mother, so she didn't feel left out. By the way, you will never need to feel left out because we've got more episodes with stories just like this one. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and just search OK Storytime. We literally have so much. You can always feel included in our little community. But there is a little bit more. Do we have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I still don't really trust your fiance, honestly. I'm suspicious of him, and I think he needs a lot of therapy before you're ready to freaking marry each other.
Yeah, I am relieved because for a second, I was scared that this is how all of their conversations went. And then I was like, okay, then something's up and she's not aware of how this is. But I am glad that at least he was apologizing and not trying to like turn it so that she needs to apologize. He's not turning himself into a victim, which is great. Still not gonna like say, oh, he's like an amazing person because of that. But like, I'm glad that at least from this, it seems like she's not being like manipulated, which makes me trust him a little bit more.
I don't think he's necessarily like diabolical. I just think he has a lot to work on before they even can think about like starting this wedding up again.
It seems like this is a kind of new discovery about his relationship with his mom and maybe needs some time to settle. But there is a little bit more. So another question I saw frequently was who is paying for the wedding? Mark is paying for the venue and my dress while my parents are covering the rest. While we try to patch up our relationship, Mark has agreed to go low contact with his mother, which I'm not sure how she'll react to. Hopefully everything goes well in the future and we get back to normal. Thank you all again for the advice and the lovely comments. But that's the end of that story. I'm glad that Mark has come around and has realized there's definitely progress. Glad they're going to couples counseling. It sounds like this is a great thing to talk about in couples counseling.
I don't want my toxic mother to have a relationship with my child, so I rejected her gifts. So, for a bit of backstory, and I apologize that this will be a bit of a long story, my 28 female mother, 60 female, is a classic She was and still is a daily substance and booze user throughout my childhood. By the way, this comes from user SpursGirl96, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Everything had to be her way or no way, and I mean everything. My prom dress was picked by her or I wasn't going. Driving lessons, friends, boyfriends, everything had to be approved by her, and I had absolutely no say. This didn't stop when I became an adult either. She would choose her boyfriends over me and my brothers, 37 male and 39 male now, at every opportunity. She even threw me and my brother out in the middle of the night before because her boyfriend didn't want to live in a house with her old boyfriend's kids. Bear in mind, I was 17 at the time and my brother was 26. Things only got worse when I fell pregnant. I was 21 and already a single mother before my 12-week scan, but that's another story altogether. We didn't even live in the same country at this point, but somehow, through her years of control, she still managed to dictate everything I did, where I went, who I spent my time with, etc. She demanded to be in the room when I gave birth, and as much as I didn't want her there, I reluctantly agreed because I was terrified of what she would do if I said no. She was never good at hearing no from anyone, especially me. From the day my child came into this world, she would refer to my child as, quote, my little baby, but not in a cute, loving grandma way. No. It was almost sinister, as if the cogs in her head were turning, thinking that my child would be another thing she could use to control my life. It's important to mention that this was not her first grandchild, so it's not like it was her first experience as a grandmother. Hey, so before I read any more of this, completely cut this woman off and never speak to her again.
Immediately go no contact. You heard him first, folks.
My fears became a reality over the next 2 years. Whenever I planned to have any me time, as us mothers need, she refused to let anyone look after my child except for her. Her exact words to me were, quote, if you need your child looked after, I'm the only one you're allowed to trust and the only one that you should. This was massively hypocritical of her because when my brothers and I were kids, she would leave us with every Tom, Dick, and Harry she could just so she could go out with her newest flavor of the month. Exactly. And again, what did I say? What did we say?
Cut her out!
Yes. Sometimes she would even leave us home alone. I remember waking up in the middle of the night once when I couldn't have been older than 6 or 7, and she was nowhere to be found. The next day, she picked me up from the neighbor's house, still wasted from the night before. I admittedly allowed her to control every aspect of mine and my child's life until 2.5 years ago, when my boyfriend, 32 male, came to look after me and my child after I had a minor operation. No overnight stay needed. I needed to be doing minimal activity for the first week of recovery. But my mother mother insisted that she was going to be there to help with chores and look after my child. So I told my boyfriend to cancel booking the week off work so he wouldn't lose a week's pay. We had known about this operation for 3 months before it was supposed to happen. A week before my surgery, she decided to take a spontaneous trip to America. Her return flight was the day of my surgery. When she got back to the UK, she went straight to her house 8 hours away, instead of coming to mine like she had promised. Then she informed me that she wouldn't be able to help me because she was jet lagged and needed a couple of days to recuperate, meaning my boyfriend had to take time off work last minute. 2 days later, Monday, she got on the train to my town and my boyfriend picked her up from the station. The whole time she was there, she complained about how tired she was, saying she was too tired to help and needed a rest. Well, hey, lady, go home. Get out. Get out my sight.
Yeah, what's the point of you being here at all?
Why are we entertaining this woman? On Wednesday afternoon, I called my boyfriend while he was at work, crying from pain and frustration, and told him everything. He wasn't allowed to leave work, but he finished 2 hours later and came straight to my house. When he walked in, he was, all caps, furious, though he hid it well from my mom. I was standing in the kitchen cooking dinner instead of resting, while she was sat on the sofa watching TV. That evening, my child, who was 2.5 at the time, wanted me to take her to bed. I agreed, but when I couldn't lay down with her, she got upset, started fussing, and hit me right in my stitches. I had to leave the room to sit down, and my child started screaming.
Wait, whoa. Wait a second. Oh, wait, what? The baby hit her in the stitches?
Yeah, it was just an accident. Just the baby being fussy.
I thought this was the mother-in-law, and I was like, hang on.
No.
Okay.
No. I went back to the living room and asked if either of them could help. My boyfriend stood up and offered to go calm her down and get her to sleep, which wasn't unusual since he had known her since she was born. They had a very good relationship. At this point, my mother stood up, blocked his way, and shouted at him, "Don't you dare! You are not the father, and you do not get to pretend like you are! You're not family! This is my grandchild, not your child!" Then she stomped off to see my child.
Such a tantrum this woman is throwing.
I want to stiff arm this woman so bad. I just want her to try to walk through me. I just want to stiff arm her forehead.
Yep.
And just watch her go, "Ugh."
She's stomping off.
That's all I want to see is that. I don't know how my boyfriend kept his cool, but looking back, I was so dang proud of him for not stooping to her level. He just turned to me and said, "I'm sorry, I can't be here with her," and left. I don't know if I would give him 3 cheers for that one. I don't know if I'd be super proud of that.
Yeah.
Being like, "I don't know, I can't help you, girlfriend recovering from surgery. I'm leaving."
Yeah,
I don't know if that's gold star behavior.
Definitely not. Absolutely not.
I honestly don't blame him. I waited for my child to settle and then went to bed myself. I said nothing to my mother that night because I was in shock. The next day, I asked her what last night was about because he was just trying to help, and she went off at me. She said he was a stranger and shouldn't be allowed around my child because I don't know his intentions, which was ridiculous because she knew him for years. We got into a huge argument and I finally stood up for myself. I was exhausted and I told her to leave because her being there was pointless. She wasn't helping around the house. She wasn't helping with my child until her random outburst the night before and had only been complaining. She left that afternoon. Once she was gone, I called my boyfriend and vented everything out about my past with my mom and how she treated me, and it was like something finally clicked. I realized this wasn't a normal mother-daughter relationship. I sent my mother a long message saying that I was done being manipulated and controlled by her. I told her I was done unless she was willing to apologize, which of course she did not do. I blocked her on everything, phone numbers, social media, the lot. I also let some family members know what had happened, and they agreed not to inform her about anything going on in my life. Fast forward to October of last year. My brother messaged me saying that my mom wanted to know what my child wanted for Christmas. I told him to tell her I wanted nothing from her and didn't want her sending anything either. You just go, "Yeah, what does my kid want for Christmas? Your continued lack of existence. Thank you. Stay away."
A restraining order is what my kid wants.
Yeah. I told him to tell her to stop. He showed me screenshots confirming he sent the message. By the way, you can take a screenshot of all the full episodes with stories like this. There's 2,000 plus of them, and they're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio and wherever you can listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, you know? So we are towards the end of the story here. My God, you should have cut this woman off. And I know it's hard being raised in this environment. Like you said, you had an epiphany where it clicked like, oh, this is actually really not normal. And this is not a dynamic I just need to put up with because it's like, oh, this is what family does. It's like,
right.
So yeah, continue to hold fast. Keep this woman out of your life. She is your mother, but she is nothing but a detriment to your child.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Now think about your child.
It's really hard. Anyway, let's finish the story. The week after Christmas, my brother called again saying she hadn't sent Christmas and birthday presents to his house for my child. He asked if I wanted to collect them, and I told him no and to send them back. I've received backlash from several people because of this. Apparently, refusing the gifts is depriving my child, even though my child is well looked after and wants for nothing. We're not rich, but we are stable, and I do everything I can to provide her with a happy and safe home. So am I the a-hole for telling my brother to return the gifts? Should I have just taken them even though she hasn't been in my or my child's life for 2.5 years because of her emotional abuse? No, you're not the a-hole. And also, anyone saying that you're depriving your child by like not giving them like a handful of Christmas gifts from an actual abuse.
Yeah.
It's the most first world problem I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
My in-laws pretend to be perfect grandparents, but their actions say otherwise.
Oh, they're two-faced grandparents now.
Quick trigger warning. This story does mention cancer treatment and that process. So if that's something you don't want to hear right now or listen to, keep that in mind. I, female 30s, have been with my husband, M, male 30s, for almost a decade, married for the majority of it with 2 small children. M, who will heretofore be referred to as Mark. Mark has one brother, the brother-in-law, male 30s, who's married to sister-in-law, female 30s. Okay, so we're going to give them names. Brother-in-law is Steve. Sister-in-law is Tony, with an I, like a lady. They've been together quite a bit longer, but do not have children currently. By the way, this comes from user One Lone Sock Left. If you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, I have always had some issues with mother-in-law, mainly after I got pregnant with my first child. It was like her personality completely changed. She had issues with my family members and was extremely rude to them, acted inappropriately towards children not even related to her at my baby shower, and became extremely controlling in certain aspects. It only got worse once I gave birth. To give you an idea, once she knew that I hadn't eaten all day, she woke the baby up right when she saw I had finished heating up my food to eat. I was breastfeeding at the time and had to stop what I was doing to go feed the baby. I was also very obviously going through major postpartum depression at the time. It was evident in my actions, and it had been spoken about. When I wasn't able to visit them at their camp with Mark and our only baby at the time, and there was a first that I wanted to be a part of, mother-in-law wanted to do it anyway and said, what OP doesn't know won't hurt her. She's trying to take away first moments.
With her child.
Yes.
Oh
And it's
my
like,
gosh.
it's my grandchild. It's like, you're old news.
Yeah, you already got that with your own regular children.
So she woke the baby up from a nap while we were visiting after she knew I had battled to get him to sleep. She gave him coffee without asking. Jail. I'm sending you to jail. You gave a baby coffee. Jail. Mom gives him coffee without asking. Many, many,
Yikes.
many more things along those lines.
Yikes.
I always dealt with these things silently because I didn't want to cause waves. Girl, what? Little did I know, we were all feeling some type of way. So when mother-in-law and father-in-law was told that I was pregnant with our second child, father-in-law was excited, but mother-in-law barely smiled and didn't seem very excited. When she found out we were having a girl this time, she wasn't excited at all. I thought I was just overreacting or looking too much into it, so I never said anything to anyone. However, they never want to take my daughter with them when they take my son. They ask to take my son for a week at a time, but never seem to want to take my daughter.
What?
This has been pointed out to them by an aunt, and they just brush it off.
Is she not a woman herself? Was she not once a daughter baby?
I don't know, but whatever goes on there psychologically is freaky and complicated. Last year, they decided to sell their house and live permanently at their camper, which is a permanent setup in Pennsylvania during the spring and summer, and down at another campground in Florida for the rest of the year. Around the time they were selling their house, my brother-in-law found out he was battling stage 4 cancer. They still made him help move all the stuff in their house multiple times. When sister-in-law tried to say they needed to get home, mother-in-law said, "Oh, you can go. Brother-in-law can stay and help." He was going through chemo at the time. Not only that, but they barely checked in on brother-in-law. Brother-in-law and sister-in-law would only hear from them when they wanted something and then would ask how he was as an afterthought. But don't you know it, she was mom of the year when she actually went to an appointment or two. She tried to tell sister-in-law she didn't need to go to the appointments. Yet sister-in-law has been the rock of the entire situation. Can you imagine
What?
the absolute rot you have to have in your brain
Yeah.
to tell your son's wife,
Yeah.
you don't need to come to your husband's cancer treatment appointments? I love you, Mom. Thank you for,
Yeah.
She tried to tell sister-in-law she didn't need to go to the appointments. However, sister-in-law has been the rock of this entire situation. She even told Mark and I not to ask brother-in-law about what was going on with his own cancer because he didn't know and she could tell us better. All of the extra stuff from their house stored at brother-in-law and sister-in-law's house because they were local. They did nothing with those items during the summer. Father-in-law picked up some odd jobs to do, so he stayed busy with work, but he would stay at brother-in-law and sister-in-law's house a few nights a week without bothering to let them know despite being asked to. And mother-in-law did nothing all day at the campground. Brother-in-law and sister-in-law had to tell them to get their stuff out before they headed south for the winter. Mother-in-law and father-in-law are still having stuff shipped to brother-in-law and sister-in-law's house without asking and just expecting them to hold it for them until they're back up north. Mother-in-law and father-in-law also made comments about our parenting. It's all gotten back to us. Keep in mind, my kids only see them maybe 3 times a year. They are the fun grandparents, not the there every day or even once a week kind of grandparents. They also apparently talked about how Mark and I never come to visit. We both work 45 hours a week and live 4 hours away from them while raising a young family. Meanwhile, they're retired. Yeah, no, definitely we are the ones who need to make the effort here.
Yeah, what?
They made no effort to come see the kids, but expected us to completely uproot our busy lives for them. In October, they wanted to come pick up my son and take him up to camp for a few days before Mark and I would head up with our daughter for the early Halloween weekend. Mark had plans he could not miss that weekend, and I ended up having to work. This is the only reason why mother-in-law asked if she could pick up daughter as well. Mark and I said we would rather her not go, as it would be her first time walking and trick-or-treating, and we wanted to be there for that. Mother-in-law said, it isn't worth that, just to get my son. So they decided not to have him at all. Her excuse was it was way too much driving before they went to Florida. We had agreed to meet them halfway, and they didn't even leave for Florida for another 2 weeks. She lied to us about when they were leaving. In November, December, once they were down in Florida, they called and asked if she could fly up, take our son on his first plane ride down to Florida, and keep him for 2 weeks. This is the same woman who said a 2-hour drive was not worth spending time with her grandson. We said we would think about it, but we obviously did not let that happen. Mark and I talked and realized they would have done something like taken him to Disney World and not told us until after the fact. When we said we don't know if we would be okay with that long of a time away anyway, she said it wouldn't be worth it for just a week. Again, there's her saying my kids aren't worth it. Oh, and just to add, the 2-hour drive before wasn't worth it for my kids, but a flight to spend a week with my kid isn't worth it. But it was definitely worth it when they flew from Pennsylvania to Florida for a cruise during their time up north. Make it make sense. Your parents kind of suck. Sorry, that's what makes sense. I mean, your in-laws suck, not your parents. Mother-in-law was recently in the hospital. She was admitted to the hospital, had to have a biopsy and surgery, which we didn't know until days after she had been admitted.
Wow.
Father-in-law lied to his sister, this aunt. She is so sweet and caring and has been so understanding about what mother-in-law and father-in-law have been putting us all through, saying that we knew she was in the hospital. He told us immediately after talking to, say, Aunt June.
Mm-hmm.
Then they lied about when she was released from the hospital. Wait, can we just acknowledge really quick how dumb of a lie that is? So he talks to the aunt, June, and is like, they already knew, and then called them and then told them. You could have just done it the other way, and technically you wouldn't have even been lying.
Right.
But you can't even do that right. Then they lied about when she was released from the hospital. Flat out said a different date. No idea why.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. The latest is father-in-law's birthday being this week. And we all reached out via Facebook or text to wish him a happy birthday. Keep in mind, we have never really called on birthdays. I know Mark hasn't received a birthday call from them in a while, and I never have. Brother-in-law is lucky if they even bother to get a hold of him. Usually he doesn't hear from them for months. Well, apparently this wasn't enough for mother-in-law. She texted Mark and brother-in-law and said she was disappointed in them for not calling their father. And this seems to be the straw that broke the camel's back. Mark didn't respond because he's at the point where he's like, screw them. But brother-in-law is rightfully fed up and done. All of us are questioning if we are even going to bother to go to camp at all this summer. We didn't expect anything out of them. If that is the retired life they want, that's fine. We're just tired of them acting like they are parents or grandparents of the year when really all they want is to seem like it without doing any of the work. At this point, I don't care, nor do I think we are overreacting for keeping our distance. Edit, I forgot to mention, to this day, they will still bring up how Mark caused the house fire that destroyed their house over 10 years ago.
Whoa.
Because he had his truck plugged in.
Whoa.
Wow. Sounds more like something's wrong with the house's wiring, but she has brought it up numerous times over the year. We do have an update.
Yikes. That's a crazy thing to throw in there.
If it wasn't for you and your darn electric truck, our house wouldn't have burned down. It's like, well, Mom, remember when the contractor told you the whole house was wired with aluminum wiring and you said, that's a scam and you're trying to steal our money? I would bet my internal organs that was a conversation that was had with her. And she went, there's nothing wrong with aluminum wiring. They've done it for hundreds of years. And it's totally fine. Yeah, and then you plug the truck in and the whole house turns into a light show.
Yeah.
We have an update. Before I get to the main story, I want to add that I found out that she had deleted me off of Facebook. Ooh. I only figured this out because I went to block her and father-in-law from seeing my future posts, and I couldn't find her. She texted me on Saturday asking if I was home and if they could video chat with the kids. I don't know why that day was finally the day, but I knew I couldn't deal with just ignoring her anymore. So I responded to her with the following, quote, I'm not sure when you deleted me off Facebook. Just noticed last week. In August, when it would have just been my son coming up, you said it wouldn't be worth meeting us halfway for him to come up. When on the phone asking about flying up from Florida, you said it wouldn't be worth seeing my son for just a week. I have let many things slide before, but that sent bells off in both my and Mark's mind. We have been made aware of many comments you guys have made about our parenting and how you would do it differently. I am also aware of things that have happened, such as you saying, what OP doesn't know won't hurt her, when Mark stopped you from doing a first of our sons when I could not come up to camp. We are also aware of comments about how we didn't make an effort to come see you guys this summer, when we are extremely busy and a young family, and the logistics of making a huge trip like that often isn't feasible for us. There are other things that have really upset me over the past year as well, but it is not my story or experience to tell. I do not want to get into a long discussion over this. I just want to enjoy the only day off I have with Mark once he's home for the next few weeks. Crickets. Then a few hours later, my father-in-law sent me a picture of a turtle and asked me to show my son. Once again, he excluded my daughter. I told him that I would and left it at that. Saturday night, the mother-in-law sent me a friend request, but I just let it sit there. On Sunday, Mark sent a message basically backing everything that I set up, but called them out for only being grandparents when it's convenient, and that they have 2 grandchildren and not 1. He also said something about not trusting them with the kids alone, and they got a little chirp, 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 chirp. Crickets. Brother-in-law sent his own message related to his own issues with mother-in-law, and her response sent me through the roof. She said, brother-in-law, I understand what you're saying, but it works both ways. You never call us, and you never called to check on me after surgery.
Oh my gosh. The phone works both ways. That whole line? What are you going to do with those? Whoa.
Bro,
See
where'd you
what I'm
find those?
You see what I'm doing right here?
Dude.
Snip, snip.
I'm cutting ties.
Cut them off. Cut them off.
Your son, the brother-in-law, had stage 4 cancer, and you're saying the phone works both ways.
So take your own freaking advice, my guy.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. I saw red.
Red.
Oh! She is referring to her most recent surgery from the hospital visit they only told us about after June asked if we knew, and they said yes when we didn't. They'd been there for days. Then they lied about the day they left. How is that comparable to battling cancer? Yeah, but literally. She's like, you didn't even call when I was in the hospital. You didn't freaking tell us you were in the hospital. How do I do with these people?
Man,
I wouldn't even entertain this. I would completely stop talking to them. I'd move. I'd have a new life. I'd never associate with these people ever again in my life. Right. Okay, here we go. So, she also spoke to brother-in-law on the phone yesterday and basically played victim with everything. She said it cost them $600 to $700 every weekend they come to visit us. They choose to get an expensive hotel room instead of staying with us, the dummies, and they can't afford that. But then says that they have invited us all down to Florida and would pay for airfare.
Girl.
And they go on multiple cruises every year.
We can pay for you guys, the mom, dad, and then the son, but we don't. Oh, sorry, we ran out of money for the daughter. Oh, sorry. Don't have any.
Okay, so again, if that's what they want out of retirement, that's fine. Just don't make excuses and make us look like the bad guys. She also reiterated that it would not have been worth it for the times to see my son. Again, just my son for that Florida trip. So she's doubled down on the whole worth it thing. She also told brother-in-law that the ball is now in Mark and I's court to reach out to her. Neither of us have heard any response to our messages explaining why we were fed up. Mother-in-law truly feels like a victim in all this. She's wanting an apology, but I'm not sorry for finally speaking my truth and standing up for myself. But I guess we all know that narcissists are unable to see the wrong they do. Oh, and they still haven't tried to contact sister-in-law at all. It's been 3 months almost now since she's heard from them. All in all, I'm at peace with it. I know I handled it calmly and maturely, which God bless you, because I would not have, and I don't have time for adult temper tantrums. Thank you to everyone who commented on the previous post. I truly think you helped me get the courage to speak up. By the way, it's going to take a lot of courage for you to listen to full episodes with stories like this, 1,300 hours worth of them, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Search OK Storytime, and you can start digging through those archives, and it's going to take you a minute. We have a final update here. We found out last night that Grandma, mother-in-law's mom, has been in the hospital since Monday. She fell, but is okay from that. However, she has pneumonia. Mother-in-law didn't bother to tell brother-in-law during her call where she was painting herself as a victim. We found out through cousins. I am 100% done with this woman. What if something happened to Grandma and the guys didn't have a chance to speak to her? Do you have any idea the wrath that would rain down from me if one of my parents hid that my Nana was in the hospital with a serious complication or illness or whatever?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Which they would never do that, but mother-in-law has shown her true colors, and I don't want any children anywhere near that toxicity.
Yeah.
The toxicity. And that is the end of that story.
Yeah. Dude. Separate yourself. Try to have good contact with the rest of the family so that you can find out from other people and that this doesn't have to be, your only way of getting updates on the rest of the family. That's just ridiculous. So many things that a mother should not do. I want to move across the country, but my father is holding me back. Let go! I graduated from college, and after a bout with a drinking problem, I started to work at my family's business, which was started by my grandmother in 1960. I began in the call center and worked for the last 3.5 years to be our fieldwork project manager. It is a large, small business, but still a small business, so I end up working sometimes 70 hours a week, and 50 hours is pretty normal. Even on 4-day weeks, I often find myself with 45 or 50 hours. By the way, this comes from EncitoMan57, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, I'm pretty constantly stressed, and I am on call 99% of the time. Although I make decent money with overtime, it amounts to nothing because of how expensive it is to live in our city. My fiance, together for 4.5 years, lost her job 7 months ago and has not been able to find anything other than part-time, and paying the rent for 2 in this city is rough. I don't want to live to work for the rest of my life, and I don't want to constantly be stressed out. I love working for my uncle, CEO, and my dad, senior vice president, but I don't want to do it anymore. They have both had a lot of heart and stress problems, and I'm pretty sure at this point it is from 30 to 40 years of this job. My uncle took off 2 weeks for the first time in 40 years last year, and he called us from the other side of the world every other day to get updates. It's sick. I don't want to be like that. My fiance doesn't want that to happen, and I want out. I proposed a change of scenery, and we started to plan a cross-country move a few weeks ago. Her parents live across the country, and her dad is the head of a very large government organization that has tons of community business ties and is very connected in mine and her fields. We have spoken to them and made the decision to move across the country and live with them. They have a very large home for 6 to 12 months. We will have, at the very least, temporary jobs waiting for us, and we have already moved our wedding plans to a venue there. Here is where it gets effed for me. We were planning on telling my parents last weekend, but last Thursday, my dad had an appointment for some medical testing. He has been having some fatigue issues. He is not unhealthy, or so I thought. He and I ride mountain and road bikes pretty religiously. So they kept him overnight in the hospital, and now he is scheduled for double bypass heart surgery on the 20th. Whoa. Just to note how work obsessed my dad is, his first reaction to hearing this was how it was going to impact his upcoming projects. So we haven't told him yet. I'm planning on telling my uncle this Friday before I leave for the weekend that my last day will be on February 14th. So I am giving them plenty of time, but I don't know if telling my dad before his surgery is a good idea. Telling him when he is recovering might be bad too. I don't want to wait too long because I know that they have to find and train a replacement. I'm honestly destroyed by all of this. My dad is my best friend, and I don't want to do anything to hurt him, but I know that this is what is best for my future family, fiance, and planned children. We will never be able to afford a house in the current city or even area. The city has become an overcrowded nightmare from when I was a kid, and I honestly effing hate it here. Not to mention my work frustrations. I can't wait to move, but I am seriously messed up over telling my parents the news. I have told my brother, 26, who lives with us, and he is super supportive, so that's good, but I'm just worried. I'm worried, and I can't figure out what my best option is. I know that my dad's health comes first, but I feel like it might just be as bad for his stress levels if I told him in the weeks after surgery. I realize how fortunate we are to have family all over that is willing to help us, but I'm just very lost right now. When is the best time to break the news to my parents? There are some comments, but what do you think, Sophia?
Now.
Soon as possible?
Soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, your dad might be a little bit stressed. I'm sure it's not going to be crazy. You know, you have a good relationship with your dad. That's what you said.
Yeah.
So if you have a good relationship with him and, you know, you haven't unlived anyone, there's no actual, you know, you're doing something good for your family.
Yeah.
He'll hopefully understand that.
Yeah, I think if you can find like a suitable replacement on your own, that would be great, or like at least an option for it, and be like, hey, like I gotta go, but like here's some people that I know that might be able to help.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, like don't just
work.
leave them in the lurch.
Yeah,
give them something.
Right, or be like, you know, I would love to help as much as I can before I'm gone, because I know that that's like a hard thing to do. Like I think. Yeah, definitely as soon as possible is probably good. I don't know, maybe right after the surgery is fine too, but then it might cause more problems that will have to be fixed with another surgery.
Just think right away.
Yeah. But let's see what the comments think. Commenter number 1 says, wait until your dad is through the surgery and partly recovered until you tell your parents. I'd say wait until the new year. 6 weeks is plenty of notice. My dad has been through heart surgery, and the scariest part of the recovery is that first week. He'll be in much better shape by January. OP responds, man, I really wanted to let him know ASAP, but I know that you are right. I wanted to get this off my chest. I hate keeping things from my family, especially when it directly impacts them. I think this is just me being selfish in that I don't want to hold on to this secret because it's bothering me so much and adding to my stress, but dang, it's rough. Someone responds, if you think you can trust your mom, you could consider telling her and asking her to keep the secret with you until dad is better. I don't know whether your mom is discreet and capable of something like that though. OP says, I think she could, but the whole point would be so that my uncle could start looking for a replacement for my job. I can wait to tell them for the sake of our personal life, but I want to be as professionally courteous as possible because they are family and I want them to be covered completely. I don't know. I know that 6 weeks is plenty of time to find a replacement, and I think I just have to suck it up up and live with the secret for a few weeks. Someone else responds, 6 weeks is far more than professional courtesy dictates. I realize it's complicated because these are family members, but 2 weeks is the norm in the business world. You're already giving them triple the amount of notice a normal employee would, so you need to let go of your guilt. If your uncle is upset, it's pretty easy to explain that you didn't want to make waves while your dad was sick and in recovery. Stop beating yourself up about this. Commenter number 2 says, if you're planning to tell your uncle, then I think you should plan on telling your father soon too. Don't put the other members of the family in the position of hiding this from him. I'm sure he'll miss you, but from a work standpoint, you're giving him plenty of time to find a replacement. Commenter number 3 says, first mistake was letting yourself be underpaid by your father. You should have been demanding appropriate wage increases all this time. They have a lot of good reasons to hire you over some stranger, and you should have leveraged that as hard as you could. It doesn't matter what others in your position are paid. What I'm saying is, he's going to beg you to stay and offer you the moon, and you'll be tempted. Maybe you'll just say no, and that's fine. But since there's some small chance that you'll be swayed regardless of what you believe right now, you need to prepare for that case now instead of letting your dad blindside you. He's going to offer you the moon, and if you are at all close to wavering, at least have the self-esteem to demand a moon and a half and 4 weeks of vacation a year, including retroactive pay for the years you were underpaid. OP says, you're probably right. I earned some dang good management experience, and I have opened a lot of doors professionally for myself. I think this was a good learning experience, and you are right. They are going to try to keep me here, but they couldn't pay me enough to stay in the city any longer. Besides, I have already committed to a decision that my fiance is excited about. We both are. She's been understanding enough with my job the last 3 years, and it's my turn to repay that, so to speak. I'm going to fortify my position and make sure I am ready for that conversation. And we do have an update. Those are some pretty good comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, not what I was saying, but it seems like maybe that isn't another option that might work out better. Yeah. I mean, like, obviously heart surgery is, you got to be careful, but.
Yeah, and if he really thinks that it's going to affect the dad like that much, then maybe just wait a little bit.
Yeah, it's
Couldn't
really
hurt
up to
too much.
you. Yeah, well, how you think your dad will receive it?
Yeah. I guess it is also probably like better information that like where they are compared to February 14th, you know? It's like they've got quite a bit of time. It's not like it's a couple weeks away. That is good to know too. But we do have an update. So I waited until a few weeks after my dad's surgery to give my uncle notice of me quitting and telling my family. My dad recovered very quickly, so that eased my worry about jeopardizing his health with my news. My aunt and uncle were both very understanding, albeit very disappointed. I told them before I left the office on a Friday afternoon, I asked them not to talk to my parents until later that weekend, and left directly to pick up my fiance and tell the rest of my family. I was very blunt about everything. The city being unaffordable and overcrowded, not being compensated enough for my work, hating the stress of the job, etc. My mom did not take it well and did not speak to me for 3 weeks or so, other than an awkward conversation where she guilted me a whole bunch for leaving and I hung up on her. Wow, not the reaction we want. My dad was very sad, but we talked about everything and he understood pretty quickly. My mom has always been very financially sheltered by my dad, so she just doesn't understand how difficult it can be when most of your money is being dumped into outrageous housing costs, and refused to see that we were doing this for a better future for ourselves until about a month later. Fast forward 3 months and we moved across the country. I almost immediately got a job in my field working for a client. This is basically my dream job. Low stress, fewer hours, salaried at double the pay, and better benefits.
Dang,
wow.
Look at you, OP.
Because of this job, my wife did not have to go back to work right away and is studying to take the bar exam in the new year. As for any residual anger towards my dad and uncle for overworking and underpaying me, I let that crap go. It's pretty typical to start in this field where I was, and my experience was not unique. I got a better job, and holding on to any resentment does not serve me any purpose. I love them both despite their workaholic tendencies. By the way, we love you, especially when you watch us or listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, because we've got 59 days worth of full episodes of more stories just like this one. Just
Whole lot of days.
Oh, yeah. Just search OK Story Time.
Mm-hmm.
We got it there for you.
Got it there waiting for you.
There is a little bit more to the story. Do we have any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
It seems like everything's working out. You talk to your family members.
Yeah.
They all somewhat understand. Your mom less so, but seems like she came around.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you got to do what's right for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, the only thing that you can do is communicate that in a kind and respectful way.
Exactly. But there is a little bit more into the story. It turned out it was a blessing in disguise that we moved when we did, because in May, my brother-in-law, 32, unexpectedly passed away and left my wife's sister, 32, with her 3 girls ages 5 to 10. So they moved to the neighborhood, and instead of my wife and I getting our own place, we are living with them to help out as much as possible while they get adjusted to the new area and getting settled. So even if we hadn't moved when we did, I know we would have moved anyway to be there for them. So that is where we're at. The cross-country move was as smooth as something like that can go. We got married, lost a beloved family member, and are helping my sister-in-law and my nieces get through a very difficult time. I thought we were making the right decision before, and now I know that we made the right decision, even though I miss my family. And that is the end of that story. My mother-in-law is upset over no flowers for Women's Day because I was hospitalized.
Why'd you go to the hospital?
That's on you, man.
That's on you, man.
My mother-in-law, 62, is generally a very helpful mother-in-law. Every time we asked for her to help to look after our son, who's almost 3, she would be there. And I will forever be eternally grateful to her for it. Sure, she needs very direct instructions on how to care for him. Example, egg for breakfast at 7, banana for snack at 9:30, macaroni and cheese for lunch at 12, nap time at 12:30, etc. But she always has handled it just fine. By the way, this comes from Tough Chickpea, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So this past Sunday, I, 30 female, 28 weeks pregnant, ended up in the hospital with the flu that progressed to pneumonia, and it could have been lethal if my husband hadn't taken me to the hospital when he did. Oh, wow. So in the morning, he called my mother-in-law, his mom, to come look after our son for a few hours so he could take me to the ER. Unfortunately, it was Women's Day that day, and she probably had some plans with her boyfriend, which I know sucks, but I really didn't choose that day as a day to potentially pass away on purpose. She called him a few hours in, asking when we were planning on coming back, and he told her that he had no idea since we didn't even know what was wrong at that point. Eventually, when they told him I was going to stay in the hospital, he immediately left home to take care of our son, but it was too late. She was already in a pissy mood when he made it back. He heard her talk to our son in a somewhat aggressive manner about how grandma is leaving immediately after mom and dad get home. To top it all off, he forgot to bring her a flower for Women's Day, which was probably the tip of the iceberg in her eyes. He was going to bring her one the next day, but the damage was already done. She started ignoring him completely. She's been ignoring him since Saturday, not asking once or calling to check if they might need anything. Our toddler wasn't 100% healthy at that point either, or to at least ask how he was doing. Fast forward to Tuesday, which is when they finally let me go home. On Wednesday, I took my toddler to daycare despite being told to not go outside soon after my pneumonia. After my mother-in-law's sister found out that I took him there myself, she called me and offered to take him and get him from daycare on Thursday and Friday so I wouldn't overexert myself too much. Mind you, at this point, there was still no sign of my mother-in-law giving even the slightest crap about what is going on with either of us. I also didn't want to bother her, knowing that she's been in a bad mood because of everything that's happened. So I gladly accepted her help, not thinking much of it. I let them know in daycare that his aunt would be dropping him off and picking him up for the next 2 days, and thought that that was that. Fast forward to today. I get a call from my son's daycare teacher telling me that they saw my mother-in-law loitering inside the changing rooms of the daycare, looking like she was waiting for someone. Not saying anything, not talking to anyone, only saying hi to the teacher that saw her. Just standing there. That's not
weird.
It's not suspicious at all in a daycare. At 7 in the morning, my son usually gets there later. I mean, what the actual F? What was the plan if she did seem to get to daycare with her sister, his aunt? Would she start a scene right there and then? Why? I don't get it. Apparently, she left soon after she was spotted. My husband plans on going over to her house in the afternoon to talk to her about it. But I just want to know, am I overreacting on this or not? And we do have an update, but what do we think so far?
Someone's a little entitled.
Yeah, I just don't get it. What's going on? Why does she think she is entitled to all of this like baby care? I don't know.
Flowers on, I don't know. OP was
flowers.
So sick she had to be hospitalized.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it.
Yeah, that's those things that you understand. And then you're like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to make some changes to, the care for our child situation. Who's going to pick him up? Who's going to see him? Slight changes because I'm literally in the hospital.
That's how dare you get sick on Women's Day?
Yeah.
Because you're also a woman, OP.
Right? Like, it's almost like...
Where are your flowers, OP?
Yeah. Why didn't you get flowers for OP? Come on. But we do have an update. So He tried his best to keep his cool, so he opened the conversation by asking her what exactly was the thing that set her off in the first place to start ignoring him, and why didn't she at least give him a call to ask about our toddler who was also sick or about me in the hospital. She, being unable to handle confrontation when it's pointed at her, started yelling at him. Why should I have called you? I am your mother. You should have called me. This is not how I raised you. Yada, yada, yada. He tried reasoning with her that we were all sick and that he would have appreciated at least her checking on them, how they're doing, since I was being cared for in the hospital and this was the longest they have ever went without me. And she kept on yelling at him about how it's not her job to do things like that for him.
All right.
This is crazy.
Okay.
The flower fiasco for International Women's Day came up too, and she was defensive again about how she didn't raise him to be like that and how she was raised to think about her mother first before everything else.
Get out of here.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My wife is in the hospital.
Yeah.
What?
And you want to think about your, like, what? That's that kind of thing doesn't come up when it's like, you know, a life or death situation. You know, the mom being prioritized over the wife isn't really applicable when it's the wife that's in a life or death situation.
Yeah,
the mom is perfectly fine.
At this point, get your mom some flowers and be like, all right, there's your flowers. I'm done talking to you.
Yeah.
No, I'm done. This is crazy.
This is crazy. Spoiler alert, her mom is in her 90s and her sister is the one who actually cares for her. She just goes to visit maybe once or twice a week, never cooking anything for her or helping out with anything. He told her, I'm sorry my wife almost effing passed away on that day and I was too worried to think about your dang flower. At this point, his patience started running thin because she was attacking him when he was trying to talk her into a calmer manner. So in the heat of the moment, he told her that even my 80-year-old grandma called to check on them to see if they're doing okay and brought them some home-cooked soup so that they would have something to eat. That is so nice of the grandma.
That's very sweet.
This prompted mother-in-law to start berating my grandma, saying, why the heck is she getting involved in family business? Who does she think she is? She also said that he hurt her by insinuating that my grandma is more caring than her.
I mean, let's look at the numbers here.
Yeah, look at the material. It's not him that's insinuating this. He's just saying the facts, and it's true.
Someone can't handle the truth, and someone feels entitled. Crazy. You're literally arguing with a brick wall right now.
Wild. He told her to please calm down and listen to him, but it didn't work. Then he asked her what the F was she thinking going into daycare this morning. At first, she denied being there, which was a statement that was also confirmed by her sister, the aunt who took my son to daycare, when she ran into mother-in-law at their mom's house after dropping my son in daycare yesterday and heard her saying to their mom, I slept so well today all the way until 9:20 a.m. You sure? That's so funny. She's literally like trying to like do it in Knives Out where it's like, make sure you say the time that you were there just so everyone else, you have some sort of alibi. You know, we don't buy it. We got other proof, man.
Yeah. The fact they're trying to have a reasonable conversation with her and she's still like, you're attacking me?
Yeah.
You're attacking me?
Yeah. Nope. Not gonna work. He told her to stop lying and told her the teachers called me and told me that she was in fact there at 7 a.m., which is when she dropped the axe, and said that she just went inside for a little bit and that it was not a big deal at all. Yeah, it is. If you're loitering around a preschool like daycare.
Who is this? Who is this woman? This is crazy.
Yeah. He told her it was in fact a huge deal and that she doesn't have anything to do there if she's not dropping or picking up a child at all ever. She got defensive again, saying how we shouldn't have let her sister take him there and how her sister is the person who breaks the families apart. Yeah, sure, mother-in-law, whatever you say. He also told her that the next time she pulls crap like that, the teachers will call the police, and she started going off on him again about how she has nothing to apologize for and how she is his mother and he doesn't respect her and nobody else, etc., etc. He just left after that. He met up with me and my toddler outside our house, and about 30 minutes later, we see her storming towards us across the lawn. That's not terrifying.
Nope.
She stopped about 10 meters before reaching us and abruptly started going into the other direction. What?
All right, at this point, something's off with mother-in-law.
Yeah, mentally, she's unwell. My husband said to her, Mom, are you here to see us? And she turned to us and said, oh, I didn't see you there at all.
Shh.
Shut up. This is crazy.
This is wild.
Yeah, like heck you didn't. And she started walking towards us again because she gave off weird energy. My toddler didn't run up to her, but he hugged my leg and tried to hide.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. And seeing his reaction, she just went aggressive again, saying, fine, I'm just going to leave then, and started walking away again. At this point, my husband told her to stop acting like an effing child, which probably offended her yet again. She kept walking along with us for a little while after that. Then she went home, and we went home too. Honestly, just typing this all out is making me realize even more how effing unhinged she truly is. How the heck do we move past this? Can we move past it at all? What the heck do we do? Apart from cutting her off the list for available childcare. I'm not really comfortable with her having my son unsupervised anymore. And before I tell you what I think OP should do, I'm going to tell you what I think you should do. And what you should do is go to iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search OK Storytime. Do you know why, Keon?
Why is that?
Because you're going to find full episodes with more stories just like this one. And there is a little bit more to the story, but what do we think that OP should do?
Oh boy. Well, you tried to have a civil conversation with a brick wall, and that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, not working out.
You just gotta, at this point, I hate going the ultimatum route.
Yeah.
But it's just like, hey, mother-in-law, we're very uncomfortable with your actions, your thought process, how you're going about everything right now. If you don't tell us what's going on, maybe there could be a reason. Right to the nitty-gritty, there's maybe a reason. But if not, if she's acting like this, and if she's always acted like this,
yeah,
this is not a safe environment for any of your family members, let alone your child. You want to protect your child at the most here. You tell mother-in-law, hey, if you're acting the way you're acting, we will get, the police involved, get maybe a restraining order. This is not healthy. This is not healthy for us. This is a very toxic environment for our family.
Yeah.
This is not okay.
Yeah. Honestly, try to just sit down with her, have a heart to heart, try to get other family members involved if they, have a little bit of knowledge of the situation.
Yeah. What's the word?
Talk to some word.
Not an ultimatum.
Intervention.
Intervention. Thank
have an
you.
intervention. Yeah.
Have an intervention. You're like, hey, mother-in-law,
yeah.
No one agrees with you.
Yeah, mother-in-law, you're crazy.
You're doing some crazy antics.
You're crazy.
This has to stop. Has to change. If it doesn't, you're burning bridges.
Yeah, we have a little bit of hard time trusting you.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's a good way to go about it. A gentle way, but
yeah.
Definitely at least try to have a conversation.
Go into this as in a delicate manner.
Yeah.
Bring her some flowers. Who knows?
That's a good idea.
There's literally the olive branch.
The flowers. Yeah. But there's a little bit more to the story. We are definitely putting her in a long time out. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I want her to apologize and own up to her actions, but seeing how crazy she reacted, I don't think we can expect it anytime soon. She will not have unsupervised access to my toddler anymore because I just don't feel like I can trust her to keep his best interests in mind. My husband is not ready to cut contact with her completely yet, but the contact will be limited from now on. He will also try to convince her to get herself checked out for any brain abnormalities, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. The walking to the consistent lying and attacking you for nothing.
Yeah.
It's unhinged behavior. There's something not clicking here because it seemed like your mother-in-law was perfectly fine before all of this. Something's going on here.
Yeah, and especially if this is not normal and she's getting older, definitely something to actually be concerned about. If you do talk to her, don't come at her with anger necessarily, or at least try your best to be calm as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be mostly concerned for sure.
Yeah, I mean, your child's already scared in a sense to be in the vicinity of your mother-in-law.
Right.
That's not good.
Not good. Not what you want.
No.
They hold on to those feelings when they grow up. But that is the end of that story.
My family deserted me when I was younger, and now they want to reconnect.
You're all big now. Let's talk.
So, little backstory. I'm a twin, and when I was born, I hadn't developed my lungs fully, so I had to stay in the hospital for quite a while. Due to this, I had a lot of developmental and emotional issues, dyslexia, and other and anger issues. By the way, this comes from Deleted, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, now I don't know if this is the reason, but I believe so, that because of these issues, I was treated poorly by my family. Like I was somehow a burden to them. Not to say that they were harmful, but the neglect I received was a lot. For example, on our birthdays, I would ask for something, my brother would get it instead. One year, I asked for a boombox, and not a big one, but a smaller one. They were all the hit in the 80s, and instead, my brother got it. Christmas came around, asked for a remote-controlled car, brother got one. I was told that due to funds, I had to wait until after the first of the year.
that never happened. So basically got nothing but clothes for Christmas while my twin got toys. I tried for years to show that I was as good as my brother. He was always good at school while I, of course, struggled. In 6th grade, I worked hard to make sure that I got good grades, all B's, which was good for me. And they said, oh, nice, your brother got all A's. I think it was at this point that I realized where I stood. I was just a roommate that they had to take care of, nothing more. Oh my God. So as a kid, I figured that if I can't get attention for positive things, then I'll do whatever. And if I get in trouble, at least they would be forced to pay attention to me. Not the brightest idea, but when you are 11 to 12 years old, what do you expect? When I turned 18, shortly after graduating high school, I was met at the door with a bag of clothes. I was told that I had to go, that they did their job, and I needed to leave. I asked, what about my brother? And they stated that he was going to be somebody as he was going to college, where I struggled in school, so clearly I was going to be a bum. To tell you the truth, I was ready to go anyways. I already knew how they felt, so this didn't even bother me. I grabbed my bag. My mom tried to hug me, but I ignored it and walked out the door, never looked back. It took a while for me to get on my feet. Nowhere to go, no place to sleep, not a penny to my name. But I had some friends to rely on, at least temporarily. Fast forward a few years, and I met my wife while I was working at a gas station. Wow. We just clicked. A few years later, we got married. We built a home together, something I never really had growing up. Back in 2005, we had a baby girl, and 2 years later, a boy. From my perspective, my life is perfect. Family, home, a great job in IT. That was until yesterday.
Oh, no.
I received a phone call from my mom telling me that my dad passed away and that she and the family would hope that I could make it to the funeral. Mind you, I don't know how she got my number, but probably from my brother, but I was shocked to say the least. I told her that I was busy working, which I was. 12-hour shifts are fun, lol, and would let her know later. She started to say something to the effect that they missed me and would like to be a part of my life or something like that, but I hung up. Kind of rude, I know, maybe even a-hole-ish, but from my perspective, I haven't heard a word from these people in 32 years. So why would I give them any more of my time? I told my wife, and although she knows about my family, she thought it would be the right thing to do. Seeing that my mom reached out to tell me, where she could have not told me, that they are family and probably feel bad and want to reconnect. Mind you, my wife has a big family and they've always treated me like family. So her view of family is different than mine. However, as far as I'm concerned, I already have my family, as those other people are former roommates, that I have no obligation to anyone but those who I care about and who care about me, which are my wife and kids. I get it, my wife loves me and is thinking of me and how I might regret not going. Just seems like they now know that dad is gone and life is short, so now guilt is creeping in and they don't want to pass away with that guilt. I mean, do I go at the wife's suggestion and be miserable being around people that I learned to let go of and not care about in order to look like the better person? Or do I stay at home and continue to live my life, putting my own family first and ignoring those people?
All right, this is what you say. He unalived me the day you kicked me out.
There you go. Yeah. Honestly.
All of you did.
Honestly. Because they were acting that way towards OP.
Yeah.
And he was the child in the situation. So it's like, there's nothing for him to mourn anymore. He already did that 32 years ago.
And I kind of feel bad for the other twin, too. Because if he was just a bystander, couldn't really do anything. It doesn't seem like they have much of a relationship. But did he fold in and believe the parents? Or two, does he kind of feel bad but has to keep like a good stance for the parents so he can survive in this world? I'd like to know that about the brother.
Honestly, I could see that happening because like, if he's the favorite child, he obviously has a different relationship with the parents, but it still wasn't really his like fault. I wonder, if there were things of like, if the brother was being like kind of bratty about being the favorite or something, that's possible, but we don't really know that yet. And obviously, I mean, OP said that the brother still has OP's number, and that might be how the mom got the number. So maybe they are still in contact like a little bit. But yeah, I could see like from being the favorite child, having that different relationship, he's maybe a little bit more forgiving of the parents for this stuff. I guess I'm asking those that have gone no contact with their family, if they let them back in, was it worth it? Or did it backfire in your face and something you wouldn't ever do again or suggest to others? Additional info, mind you, I live in Florida and they're probably still in California. So that would be a long trip and I'm not sure it's worth it. As far as my twin, we don't talk. Okay. Not that we hate each other, we just walked different paths in life. I get/send the occasional Christmas card, but that's it. Unless some miracle has happened, my mom is probably still the self-centered person that she's always been. She always wanted to be seen as the good person by family and friends. And there is an update, but Yeah, that checks out. Because if she's gonna have this like funeral with friends and family, and then her son isn't there, how's that gonna look on her?
If you go to this funeral, everyone's gonna be like, "Who is that?"
Yeah, no
one's gonna be like, "Oh, you had another son." Everyone's gonna ask her more questions. This might backfire on her. Actually, who's that other kid that looks like your son?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Or if they do know the son, then it's like, well, I guess I was thinking like people might put the blame on the son for not being there, but they should be like, do you not invite your son or something?
Yeah.
Like, she's probably just inviting it for that. But we do have an update. Okay, first, holy crap. I didn't think my post would get so many comments. I tried my best to respond to as many comments as possible as they came in, but after signing out to cook dinner and spend time with the family, when I came back, there were hundreds of comments. So although I didn't respond to each one, I read them all. All 750 plus, even had to read some this morning. Second, thank you everyone for taking the time to read my post and then to take time out of your day to comment, share your story, post some kind words, and even the few that were blunt about what I should do. Third, at the suggestion of so many of you, I sat with my wife and we went through the comments together so she could get a better understanding of where I was coming from. Although some were a little brutal, she understood and apologized for overstepping. I reassured her that her heart was in the right place and it was nothing to be sorry for. Fourth, at the suggestion of someone who posted, sorry, lost your name in the vast comments, they suggested that I contact my brother, and I did just that. So update time. Okay, folks, I hope you are ready for this crap show of karma that is about to unfold. Drop in and hold on. I called my brother to talk to him. I asked him if he had time to talk, and he did. I asked him if he gave my number to his mom, and he mentioned that he did. He thought it would be better to hear about our dad's passing from mom than from him. I asked him why I would want to hear from someone who punted me out at 18 and never heard from in 32 years. He was shocked, and he told me that mom said that I could stay, but I had to pay rent, but I told them that I would never pay rent and left on my own. As others said in my OP, self-absorbed people do and say things to make it about them and make themselves look better. I can't really be surprised at this, to tell you the truth. This is exactly who she was back then and even now. She make me look like the bad apple, and her/them as the ones that never do wrong. So we had a good talk. Never getting that sibling twin bond back, but we did agree to try and at least catch up more instead of Christmas cards and birthday messages. Okay. Like I said in my OP, he's not a bad guy. We just walked different paths. So then I asked him why mom wants to reconnect and why she wants me at the funeral. You guys were right.
She wants a kidney.
Turns out that they spent everything that they had their entire lives trying to live like the Joneses. So now that dad is gone, she has nothing to her name. That's always what it is, isn't it? It's always the money. They come back for the money.
Dude, I did not think about that part.
Yeah.
It's too caught up in like the medical
the
world.
Kidneys.
Oh man.
No savings, just a small amount of Social Security per month and a small portion of my dad's pension. Living in a small trailer. They heard that I actually became somebody, and she was telling others that she couldn't wait to see me at the funeral. She was hoping that I would bring my kids so that she could see her grandchildren. She actually told my brother that I would be coming. What the F? And was hoping that we could fix our relationship. I'm guessing so that she could start asking for money, as many of you said that she would, seeing that she's dirt poor now. I informed him after thinking about it, mostly listening to you guys, that I would not be attending, and at no time did I tell his mom I was coming. I feel bad that dad has passed away, but I already mourned them years ago. I'm at peace with myself and his/her deaths, and his and her passings are and will be no different than that of a stranger. That I feel that it won't be for me if I go. It will be for his mom and making her look good. I'm not interested in doing anything for her. They wrote me off 32 years ago, and I'm in a way better place without her toxicity, narcissism, and lies. And you would be in a way better place if you listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. You can listen to full episodes with more stories just like this one. Much better place, right, Riley? The better place world. And there is a little bit more to the story, but I think that's a great answer. I think, yeah, he's putting his boundaries down. We know the ulterior motives.
Don't
behind
let a
mom.
leech latch on.
Exactly.
She was going to plan her way at the funeral. Okay, so OP's going to step here 20 steps, and then he's going to go to the left, and then boom, there I am. Hello. And then Aunt Brenda's going to talk to him and be like, oh my gosh, your mother's such a great person. And then Uncle Charles is going to be like, oh my gosh, you should actually catch up with your mom sometime. And then little cousin Vinny's going to be like, OP and mom happy. And then that's her whole plan.
But we do have a little bit more to the story. Let's
Oh,
wrap
boy.
this right up. I have to give him credit. He wasn't a knucklehead about it. He understood where I was coming from. I told him if anyone asks why I'm not there, to tell them the truth or lie. At this point in my life, my immediate family is more important than people who've been absent from my life for 32 years. So don't really care what he tells them. As far as his mom, I'll be staying no contact and blocking the number that she called me from. My wife and I both agree that it's best for me and our family. Not only for our mental reasons, but for financial reasons. I didn't work as hard as I did to get where I am to lose it all to her. Some of you suggested I'm going to have a small goodbye for my dad on my own time. Again, thanks, internet strangers. I never knew so many random people could be so nice and caring. This old guy truly thanks all of you. And that is
Aw.
the end of that story.
Aw,
Wow. Yeah, I think that's great.
that is great.
Making the great decision. Because
I love that.
I was thinking too, like, even if it wasn't for financial reasons that he wanted to see her, like, that she wanted to see him, and she somehow just did want to reconnect, no, but even if he went along with that, it probably wouldn't be a good relationship anyway because of how she just is as a person. So it's just, putting the boundaries down for yourself, not losing any more time or money to them. Good.
It's wild.
Good for
Super
you.
wild.
And OP's in a great place with his
It
family.
really is.
And his job.
It's just kind of crazy how OP's life just turned around to be amazing. Two kids and a wife.
He did that.
IT.
He did that. Put all that work in himself, and that's amazing.
My boyfriend's family lost their home in a fire. They want my name on the mortgage.
Put your name on it.
I've been dating my boyfriend for almost 4 years, living together for about 2. I'll cut to the chase. His family, mom, dad, and sister, suffered a house fire in January, and they stayed with us in our 1-bedroom apartment for a couple of weeks until their insurance got them a hotel. Now they're in a hotel. By the way, this comes from Worried Strength 7894. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. His family had 10 cats.
No.
9 of those cats are in the apartment with us currently. Oh, so one of them, I guess, got caught in the fire.
At their last life.
Oh no!
Getting 9 cats out of there though.
Yeah, I mean, you're herding cats. Like
Skills.
that is a famously hard thing to do. They pay for the food and litter, but I bought them a cat tower and some toys. They basically destroyed my couch, but I figured they would, and it was a cheap couch. All right, so man has cat expectations. This past Sunday, 2 days ago, they went to see a realtor to talk about buying a house. Where they lived was a place they rented for a decade, and the landlord was pissed about the fire. So they don't want to go back there even when the house is fixed. My boyfriend was supposed to be the one on the loan because his parents aren't citizens and would have to pay an arm and a leg on the down payment. But since he has a social security number, he can get a regular rate. Problem is, he doesn't make enough on his own. If I went in on him for the loan, our combined income would be enough to qualify. If I go in on the loan, we could stay with his family in the house and save for our own home later. We'd have more space, which would be great because I'm trying to start a business and I would be living in the 1-bedroom with 9 cats. And I wouldn't be living in the 1-bedroom with 9 cats. 1 bedroom and 9 cats sounds so difficult.
Terrible. The smell that I'm like is in my nose.
Yeah. Also, is 9 cats too much?
Yeah.
I know there's someone in chat that has at least 9 cats.
Okay.
I know.
9 foster cats though, that's like more acceptable.
Yeah.
But
like
their cats?
Yeah. You can have 9 temporary cats, but 9 cats is a lot.
Yeah.
But it's also a 30-year mortgage loan. He has told me that whatever I decide to do won't affect our relationship, but I'm afraid this will for me. If I don't decide to go in on this loan, his parents said they'll get a trailer and take the cats, but his sister, 19, would still probably end up living with us because her job is close to us and she doesn't drive. I feel like I'm losing it. I feel like no matter what I do, I'm losing something. I'm so conflicted. I've asked the advice of my mom and some friends, and they think they're asking too much. But if I don't go in on the house, I'm still in this apartment that costs too much, and I'm adding an extra person to our space. So I'm asking, should I just let them put my name on the mortgage loan, or should I accept that his sister will be living with us? I hate to add any more elements of stress to their lives because they've already been through so much, but now it's leaking into my life a lot. There's an edit. There's an update. But Carly,
Yeah.
is the 9 cats, 1 sister a little bit two parents?
And that's too much for the 1 bedroom.
That's so much for the 1 bedroom.
But if they're okay, so if she won't put her name on and they're willing to go into a trailer with the cats. And the sister is staying with them.
Yeah.
And the only issue is that the apartment costs too much.
Yeah.
Can we not have the sister pay a little for the apartment?
You know that. See, and she's working.
She's working.
She's working.
She got a job.
She's got a job. But, you know, a 1 bedroom for even 3 people is a little rough.
It is.
It is asking a lot. So we have an edit with some more clarifying information. This house would be in my name on the deed. The cats are not destroying my apartment, as so many people are assuming, just the couch. I obviously care about these people, which is why I would even consider it. So please stop creating a story in your head where I'm some sucker wanting to be scammed. And another edit, it's got a lot of attention pretty fast. I'd like to clear up that they aren't pressuring me, but it's obviously a tense situation for them because, you know, it's their housing in the line. They're just kind of at the mercy of insurance paying for their hotel. It's a desperate situation and a desperate ask. I will talk to my boyfriend about different options. I spoke to my mom, who is a homeowner, and she advised against this, but seeing all of your reasons as well, like not being able to get a second mortgage because of this one, is a nail in the coffin because she wouldn't be able to get a house if they eventually wanted to move in together separately from the 9 cats. And
that could also affect if they didn't live in the house, want an apartment might not approve if that much is coming out of their income. They're already not making enough for a 1 bedroom.
That is true. That is true. I'll suggest his sister stay with us as long as she is looking for another place of her own, and encourage her to maybe look for a roommate with a good friend of hers, maybe. I knew this would be a risky move, but seeing how much it really takes from me, just know I will update later, but have peace of mind that I will not be taking out a mortgage for his family.
Good.
That's good, but
yes,
there's an update. There's an update.
It was good.
There's an update. There could be juicy details coming in.
She's got her head straight.
She's got her head straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the internet and also wise words from Mama was like, hey, hold your horses. Let's not get on a 30-year commitment for someone you've been seeing for 4 years. That's crazy. That is crazy. Let's get into the update. So I was not expecting 1,300 people to find so many different ways to say no. LMAOOOOO. I'll be honest, I was not inclined to sign anything, not because I didn't think his family would fall through or anything. I just knew I didn't know enough to make this decision. Home ownership is a distant thought right now at the wee age of 25.
I forgot that she was 25. No.
25 for your relationship.
I don't.
Boom.
I would not be approved for that right now.
Yeah.
They'd laugh at me.
I came here hoping to see if this is something people actually do and what it would mean for me and my boyfriend if we did. The obvious risk was, what if we break up? Which is a big risk. That's a huge risk. 4 years.
The whole risk.
4 people break up all the time. My girlfriend does short-term. She has a short-term rental property.
What? Wait,
yeah.
You're what?
My girlfriend. My girlfriend.
Is that the first time you dropped that? On here?
On here, yeah.
Yes! I was here for that.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's sick. Oh,
yeah.
I'm so happy for you, man.
Yeah. Well, don't be happy for her. It's her.
Oh,
it's
for
her
her.
short-term
For her.
property.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it can happen. It can happen. You can make money from property. So maybe if OP gets the property, business opportunity.
Honestly, maybe you should just go ahead with it then.
We're going to get into this next bit. So the obvious risk was, what if we break up? But I knew there was more than that, and you all made that clear. First things first, no mortgage. I made that post yesterday morning, and after reading through the comments that actually gave insight into something like this, I realized, yeah, there's no way we can do this. I wish it was a viable option to solve their problem, but it just isn't. Fortunately, by the time I got home after work and talked to my boyfriend about it, he also had realized this was not a good idea. Good.
Right.
Glad I had the foresight to make us wait before giving his family an answer. It just stunted too many of our own opportunities for the future, so we were both on the same page about it, thank God. Someone mentioned that you can learn a lot about someone by how they handle the word no. And I can say that I didn't really learn anything, but just confirmed suspicions I already had. His mom was very understanding, and I don't think she even understood what she was asking when it came up. After my boyfriend explained it to her, she told his dad, who is not his bio dad or even his stepdad, just his mom's longtime boyfriend, which matters for the next part. His dad, quote unquote, rather, did not take it very well.
Oh.
Before any of this, my boyfriend's parents told him they would help him get his credit up so he could take the loan for the house. They'd help pay off his credit card and obviously front the money for the down payment. And they said even if we didn't help with the house, they'd still do that because he's helped so much already. Coordinated with Red Cross to get them assistance after the fire, helped wrangle the cats, housed the cats, and his family, went with them to the realtor. As I suspected, though, once we made it clear that it was not happening with the mortgage and how it would damage our future chances at a home for ourselves, his dad was not happy. When his mom asked if they would still pay my boyfriend's credit card, his dad said no.
Oh.
Ooh.
No.
Ooh.
You can't just go back on that, though.
You can't go back on the word, but they are. He didn't help us, so we wouldn't help him, is how he put it, apparently. Yeah, like I said, my boyfriend's family is dysfunctional. I can't say I've ever had the most respect for his dad, but he's been there for most of my boyfriend's life. I have lots of thoughts on how this should go, but ultimately, we're just going to try solving it in different ways. Definitely no rushing into quick fixes. Maybe be less ready to help so his dad can see what that's actually like. By the way, you can help us by listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update, but let's discuss. What do you think about where we're landing as we get towards the end of this saga? The dad being ungrateful, the mom being understanding, everyone agreeing that the mortgage is not something that we should do. Yeah, how do we feel about that?
The dad needs to just get over it.
He needs to get over it.
I saw someone saying earlier, I don't remember who it was, that she might not even have the credit to put her name down. So there was no ever guarantee that she could even help. And he, going back on your word and stuff for that's just not right.
I mean, it also sounds like they were trying to get the credit up for both of them
the girl. Okay.
Yeah. To even try to get the mortgage. So I don't know if this whole plan just seems poorly concocted.
Terribly.
And now the guy's mad. The dad, quote unquote, is mad for it not working out. Like this is a plan that was failed from the beginning.
Right.
We got a little bit more to the story, so I'm going to finish up. So also as a note to you all, as a collective, I understand that the world is full of cruel people, but I think a lot of you miss the context of the situation when you cast judgment on his family's intentions. This is a family who has been displaced in a house fire. They are immigrants who aren't perfectly savvy to all logistics of buying a home. The reality for a lot of immigrants is that they do rush into terrible solutions because they don't always think they have another option. They know they have less resources because they lack citizen status, and it's not uncommon for children to help their parents in extreme ways. And that doesn't just apply to immigrants. There are people all over the world taking extreme risks to try to better their situation. But since they have lived so long needing to think on their feet, they don't always feel they can afford to look for other options. All that to say, practice a bit more compassion. I understand that this was too much of a risk for myself, but that's not going to stop me from helping them where I can. Thanks for your help. And that is where that story ends. And little Chip begins.
Chippy's
Hi, Chip.
also team cat.
Chippy. We got a dog cafe
Dude,
happening right now.
I have the cutest photo of Chip.
Show us.
I have to run away.
All right, bye,
Bye.
Bye.